What's good, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the What's Good Games podcast, your source for video game news, commentary, analysis, and funny stuff every Friday. I'm your host, Andrea Renee, joined by Miss Christine Steimer.
Hello.
And Miss Brittany Brombacher.
I noticed you're not at the desk.
I'm not at the desk. I'm, in fact, at the production desk.
Oh,
She's
hey.
at a desk.
There we go. Not at the desk, but a desk.
Yes. So, because I was streaming just a little bit ago some Doom Eternal at twitch.tv/whatsgoodgames, I decided to just do the show from the desk this week, especially since Steimer is at home and Skyping in as well.
Yes.
There's a busy girl.
Yes. Not only is she busy, but also I was like, you probably don't have to drive all the way up here to shoot the show if you have got stuff going on. I mean, the only person that's been in the studio recently has been Anthony Carboni, if you guys have missed it.
Ew, cooties.
I know, that guy. You
have to Lysol the whole place down before I'll go in there.
Well, I have been Lysoling, but he did bring Dagger. I don't know if you saw his adorable puppy that he brought.
No, I've never met him.
Dagger is great and very cute and very well behaved. So hopefully we can all stream together at some point in the not too distant future. But Anthony and I had been, kind of working on a creative concept which we're going to be launching soon that is not video games related. And he was like, hey, you want to do some streaming? And I was like, actually, it would be really great if we could finally get What's Good Games up to affiliate status on Twitch, because so many people have been asking to, do bits and subs and all that. And while, we still maintain that we're not aggressively pursuing partnership for a variety of reasons, affiliate status certainly seems like something that is achievable now. So have streamed quite a few days this week, including the three of us streamed this morning as well for that PS5 reveal that wasn't really a reveal, which we're going to talk about in just a minute.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. We'll have our thoughts.
But Brittany and I also want to officially announce that What's Good Games Live is now going to be taking place on Mondays. And we originally were going to shoot for 11 a.m. Pacific time, but I feel like 11:30 a.m. Pacific time feels like it's a little bit more realistic, knowing our propensity for technical difficulties. But we are going to be streaming every Monday, and we hope that if you guys have not gone over to our Twitch channel or to our YouTube and subscribed and followed and turned notifications on, now is a great time to do that. So Brittany, you want to kind of tell folks what they can expect on Mondays?
Oh my goodness. So obviously we still don't know when we're doing this now, even though I just recorded a video. I haven't published it yet.
Yeah, so no, 11 a.m. is the time. 11 a.m. is the time.
But knowing us, you're not wrong. Technical things happen. So yeah, so the whole idea of the show is to cover video game topics that we maybe had missed, because as you may or may not know, we record the show on Wednesdays, which means things that break Wednesday evening, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday doesn't always make sense for us to talk about on next week's show because it's old news and, we have to stay hip, cool, and relevant. So sometimes we won't talk about those things, right? So a Monday show is a nice little in between. And then that show is planned to go for maybe an hour at a time. And then after that, we'll take a short break and then we'll hop into gameplay. So for example, this coming Monday, Andrea is going to be a big, brave girl and play the Resident Evil 3 demo for us all.
Nemesis is going to jump out at me and I might pee myself a little.
You might wear some diapers.
I was like, you can wear some diapers.
Wear a big pad, something, anything to catch some urine. And then the idea is that we're going to take the news portion of our stream and upload it to our current RSS feed. So if you're currently subscribed to us on iTunes, on Spotify, you will see, etc. You will see What's Good Games Live pop in there Monday afternoonish, depending on when it gets published. And we're going to take the video and upload it to YouTube as well. So you can catch us live or not. But if you can catch us live, hop into chat, Twitch, YouTube, YouTube, and Mixer. And then we're going to incorporate chat and chat with all of you friends in there and take your questions. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're
clarify. It's
Yes,
those two lovely ladies. Not I.
On the off chance that there's a day that Steimer has a day off on a Monday, maybe she'll join us. But we wanted to take advantage of the fact that, a lot of us are working from home right now and our events have been canceled, as we have discussed in the last couple of weeks of the show. And so we said, maybe we just start streaming more. Now's the time. Let's start spinning stuff up. And so we're making it happen, and we appreciate everybody's support, and we know that it's tough out there right now. It's stressful, and every day the situation changes. And I think we all really need to kind of rally together and support each other and not tear each other down and remind us that we're in this together. And we have to just do our best to, play our part and follow instructions like social distancing. Social distancing, everybody. A new catchphrase of 2020. So, yeah, join us.
It's just really my
Streams.
life, honestly.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, like social distancing, like not necessarily a bad thing.
Oh no, honestly, the quarantine life was made for me. Like that's,
No.
and I'm so grateful for that because I know that it's so hard for a lot of people for numerous reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I'm like, I was born for this. This is my time.
Born to be aware. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I talked about this last week, but after landing from PAX, I was diagnosed with bronchitis. So I haven't really left my house in any real capacity in 19 days now, I think, anyway. So I'm used to it by now. I'm like, okay, this is cool. I got lots of games. I got a whole bunch of whiskey. But yeah, then again, it's just Jason and I. We don't have kids. We don't have to worry about how, we're going to work and watch our kids at the same time. So we have it very easy, thankfully. But
Yeah, no, same. Yeah, I have it probably the easiest. So I'm
It's just
grateful for my position in life.
you have a good one.
Yes.
But yeah, speaking of streams and whatnot, ladies, we have streams coming up this Saturday.
Yes,
March
we do.
21st. We do. We have our happy hour Q&A for all patrons at all levels at 11 a.m. That'll go until about noon Pacific. And then after that, we have our after hour stream at 12:30 p.m., probably go until 1:30 p.m. The idea is that we're going to play Arm and Gelatinous, and Ree will be joining us. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah,
We're
so
gonna
Rihanna talked about this. Sorry to cut you off there, Britt.
Nah.
Rihanna talked about this game at our PAX East panel. If you guys missed that episode and you want to check that out, and the team that makes Armed and Gelatinous was like, hey, you want some beta keys to play the game? And I was like, that sounds cool. And they're like, here you go. So we're going to try it out.
Yeah. It's going to be a great time. And that's for our, what are they called?
Legendary.
Mythic? Legendary. I still can't wrap my head around this thing that we've had for almost a year now. I still can't do it. It's just like not clicking, man.
Probably because we don't really talk about the individual membership tiers a whole bunch on the show, because we don't tie a lot of content to the individual tiers, because here at What's Good Games, we love giving you guys specialty access to exclusive things on the Patreon to, hopefully incentivize you to financially support us. But we also want to make sure that the vast majority of our content is available to all of our fans, regardless of their financial situation. And so because of that, we don't have reasons to talk about the individual membership tiers as much as some of our, colleagues or peers in the podcasting space do. So that's probably why, Britt.
There we go. Thanks for throwing me a frickin' bone.
Hey.
Austin Powers reference.
You're welcome. All right, so speaking of patrons, I want to give a big shout out and thank you to this month's Patreon producers, Chewy's Godson, Alex Rigopulos, Faris Attieh, Mohammed Mohammed, Marcus Brown, and Punkdefied. And welcome to our Patreon community, Dominic, Jonathan S., John Carlos Hardwick, Maddie Gaffney, Brokish, a.k.a. The Real Jeff, Nick Cates, Chip Bigelow, who I feel like was in there like 2 weeks ago, Ian Kasperzak, Chelsea Quick, Enrique Mercado, Game On, Andrew Nyland, Matt Acuna, and Timothy Jasnett. Welcome.
We have some new podcast reviewers. We have Nathaniel Schoon, Devil Crash 007, and they give a shout out to Jeff. We have John Dansfield, who says Jeff is their favorite. And then we have finally decanted Cab Sauv. What the
Cab
is that wine?
Sauv, that's Cabernet Sauvignon. It's a delicious red wine.
You're in your Sauvignon. And special thanks to Uwu Woo 11122, who says all they do is complain in shrill voices.
That's our one-star review that we got.
That's our lovely one-star review. Shout out
My
to
voice, very
Uwu.
shrill.
Oh my god, what is shrill? Like
Very high pitched.
It's basically whenever you or I get very excited.
Oh, I
Yeah.
thought that was just, is that obnoxious? Same thing. Shrill
I mean, it
No,
can be.
it's more about the volume and the tone.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Uwu Woo.
Thanks. I mean, no thanks.
Thanks, but no thanks.
Exactly. Well, in case you guys missed it, which I'm sure you did not, it was a very busy news week between Xbox One X and PlayStation 5. So let's get into it. But before we do that, I want to tell you that this episode is brought to you by Bespoke Post. If your mailbox is anything like ours, 90% of the time, it's a fairly depressing place. Political flyers, utility bills, unholy amounts of coupons. I mean, who's still printing so many coupons? But once a month, we do have a reason to be stoked, and that's because of Box of Awesome from Bespoke Post. So we've talked about Bespoke Post and Box of Awesome on the show before, and just as a refresher, Bespoke Post sends people only the best stuff every month, no matter what you're into. Box of Awesome has got you covered, from style and grooming goods to barware, cooking tools, and outdoor gear. Box of Awesome has carefully built collections for every part of your life. So we have gotten a couple of different boxes of awesomes. Boxes of awesomes? I don't know what the plural of that's supposed to be. Correct. Over the last year or so that we've been working with Bespoke Post, but the new one that I'm very excited to get my hands on that we've ordered is called the Cantina. Now, anyone who's ever had Mexican food with me knows that I am a sucker for good fajitas. And so when I saw that they had a fajita skillet with a fajita tortilla holder plus a little cilantro mini tabletop garden and a citrus squeezer, I was like, this is the one for me. Click. So I was very excited for that, and I can't wait to test it out. And Steimer, you're going to come make fajitas with me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Just
gonna
don't
be
put too much
good.
cilantro on mine and we're good.
No, I'll put the cilantro on the side because generally
Love
I
it.
use the cilantro in the pico de gallo, but I'll keep it all on the side because you're one of those that doesn't like cilantro, right?
Correct.
Yeah, that's okay. I still love you. No judgment. I get the cilantro is very divisive.
It is.
But you know what's not divisive? Boxes of Awesome. If you guys are interested in getting yours, you can get started by taking the quiz at boxofawesome.com. Your answers will help them pick the right Boxes of Awesome just for you. They release new boxes every month across a ton of different categories. It's free to sign up, and you can skip a month or cancel anytime. Each box costs only $45, but has over $70 worth of gear inside. If you guys want to get your very own Box of Awesome and get 20% off your first month at that, you can sign up at boxofawesome.com and enter the promo code What's Good at checkout. That's boxofawesome, just like it sounds, .com with promo code What's Good, and that will snag you 20% off your first box. Check it out, you guys. They have all kinds of cool stuff, including barware, grooming essentials, and more. All right, Brittany, would you like to read the first story? AKA, don't read the first story in entirety because it's so much technical specs.
I went through and I tried to cut all the fluff out. So Tuesday, I suppose it was, PlayStation tweeted out the following. Tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific time, PS5 lead designer architect Mark Cerny will provide a deep dive into PS5 system architecture and how it will shape the future of games. So we at What's Good got all excited, and we decided to live stream our reactions this morning. Critical error, because none of us knew what the fuck was happening.
I mean, given what they actually, I mean, it's stupid that they tweeted it and put it live in the first place, but they did technically say exactly what it was going to be.
You're right, Cyber. And after I reread this tweet, I was like, oh, my bad, our bad. Oh, well, it was still fun. It was
You know what it probably was? It was probably a bunch of media outlets talking about the tweet, saying things like, oh, look for the new PS5 details, instead of like actually like quote tweeting the tweet from PlayStation themselves. And then everyone was like, oh my God, more about the PlayStation 5. It's going to be great. And then it wasn't great.
Yeah. I think what hooked me was the part where it says, and how it will shape the future of games, because I'm thinking new features, UI, but like literally if you take it for what it was, like, yeah, they didn't lie to us.
This was basically an anatomy lesson for the console.
Okay, so I'll try to skim more fat off the top of this. So all of the specs are here. I'm not even going to try to say them because it doesn't make any sense to me.
Tell me how many flops it's got.
It has 10 something flops. I'll get to that. So IGN thankfully had a whole bunch of articles, 10 flippity flops, that I just kind of pulled a whole bunch of info from that put it in terms I think even we can understand here at What's Good Games. Alrighty, so just kind of taking it from the top. Sony's estimating it'll take under a month for most developers to get a handle of the PS5's tech, which is even lower than the company's estimated month or 2 months on the PS4. The solid-state drive, the custom-built solid-state drive, is also key to what Sony is endeavoring to help with developers. Cerny explained that, rather than the PS4 HDD bandwidth of 50 to 100 MB/s megabytes per second, the target speed of the PS5 is 5 gigs per second at least. And the hope is that developers will be able to use the solid-state drive more easily, load in textures and areas of level more quickly than ever before, so as to not have to segment levels with the all-too-familiar elevator rides we experience in games. I appreciate those elevator rides. The core goals of the solid-state drive in the PS5, according to Cerny, are to boot the game in a second, no load screens, design with freedom, more game on disk and on solid-state drive, patch installs, go away.
Magic.
Install times and the lack of them on PS5 are clearly important priorities for Sony, given Cerny's explanation. Quote, with an SSD, though, no seeks. So no need to make brand new files with the changes incorporated, which means no installs as you know them today. I'm sure to someone that makes a lot of sense. The SSD has a custom flash controller, which includes 6 different levels of priority for developers to use. What this essentially means is that developers can code what elements of the game need to be prioritized and how they're delivered to the player. Cerny also spoke to the expandability of the solid-state drive. The kind of storage you need, according to Cerny, depends on how you use it. A large external hard drive is ideal for players with a larger PS4 backlog. Cerny suggested keeping PS4 games on his hard drive so as to not take up space on the pricier PS5 solid-state drive space. For playing PS5 games, Cerny says, ideally, players will add to their SSD storage. The PS5 will have a bay that supports some commercial M2 NVMe drives players can purchase to expand their memory. However, Cerny did not specifically list them just yet, so hold off on buying anything. As for backwards compatibility, Cerny confirmed PS4 and PS4 Pro Legacy modes will be included for the system to run PS4 games, while the PS5 will normally run in a native mode for next-gen games. At launch, Cerny confirmed the PS5 will be able to play almost all of the top 100 most PS4 played games at the launch of the system, and that 100 is determined by most playtime. There are 4,000 games on the PS4. Cerny described a bit about Sony's Tempest audio engine being used on the PS5, and while it will have many applications for PS5, its 3D audio functionality is key to Sony's endeavors. Cerny said the process will be a multi-year process to properly allow all the variances in how players listen to the games they play. While 3D audio on headphones is more precise, Sony's implementing virtual surround sound for TV speakers, essentially creating a sweet spot for the player to be situated so the speakers can simulate 3D audio. Headphones are the gold standard for audio on PS5 at this time, though. In fact, Cerny was so bullish on how 3D audio could be majorly impactful that he even discussed a future where Sony could theoretically, years from now, custom build and mold audio equipment tuned to a player's ears.
I did.
Wow.
That was my favorite part of the presentation because Cerny is just one of those quietly brilliant men. And when he said, "Oh, I'm gonna get bullish now" or something, I was just like, "But are you?" Like, I can't imagine you being forceful in any situation. You just seem like such a Mr. Rogers type.
Mr. Rogers. So another thing too is obviously Simer's obsession with the teraflops. She cares a lot about
It's
those
such
little...
a fun word.
It is. So teraflops, Simer, stands for floating point operations per second. I learned this. And the PS5 will have 10.28 teraflops, and the Xbox Series X will have 12. Some people are like, oh my goodness, what does it all mean? Turns out, doesn't necessarily mean a lot because apparently there are other things that go into play, like CPs and clocking times.
CPUs and GPUs and how they work together. And
So there's
the system architecture as a whole. It's basically looking at, if you were looking at like a body and you were like, well, this person's heart beats a little bit faster than this person's heart. However, you have to look at the whole ecosystem behind it, and you can't just look at one component. So from what I've read, they are going to perform probably fairly similarly, just given the way that each tech platform is. Like Microsoft has a little bit beefier specs, but the system architecture seems a little bit more refined on the PS5.
Yeah, IGN had this weird algebra-looking thing on its website where it did all these little calculations, and their calculation was that the Xbox will be 18% more powerful. I don't get
18%.
Not even 20, man.
No, not even 20. So We have a question from our Patreon, which is patreon.com/whatsgoodgames. And this comes from Liquid Music Entertainment. And they say, and based on the PS5 in detail spec brief, did you pick up that they didn't say anything about backwards compatibility to PS3 and earlier? Do you think that was on purpose, or do you think they still might make it work?
It was definitely on purpose. I mean, Sony didn't build that tech into PS3 games. And there's a reason why backwards compatibility was such a difficult endeavor for them during the PS4 generation. I mean, like, you could say that PlayStation Now is technically considered backwards compatibility, but when you put them side by side between Xbox's backwards compatibility and PlayStation's, it's not even close of a competition. So I don't hold your breath that PS3 games are coming to PS5. Like, I do not think that is in the cards. I think anything that's available currently on PlayStation Now is likely to be available on PlayStation Now on PS5. But as far as being able to like put a PS3 disc into a PS5, you're dreaming.
Yeah, the PS4. Wake up, sir.
Or you could make it in Dreams.
Oh.
And play it on your PS5 because that's backwards compatible.
You could. Anthony and I were playing Dreams when we streamed. If you guys want to catch the archive, of course, head on over to YouTube or Twitch. And I was really impressed by some of the stuff that we played. So we played a Sonic game that was like a full-on Sonic Adventures game, just in Dreams.
Isn't that crazy?
Just
having
there,
all these,
hanging out.
I played a level that was a remake of the Mansion in Resident Evil 1, which I thought was really cool. And they also have PT and other scary games in there I wanted to play, but there's no invert option for every game. So I was getting way too dizzy and I couldn't train my brain, so I couldn't play Dreams anymore. And I was really sad about it.
Aww.
But anyway, so going back to your question, whatever your name, Liquid Music Entertainment. So looking at some of this, Mark Cerny said that the PS5 is basically too powerful for older code, which is why they have to do game by game basis to get the PS4 games on there. So try to imagine them getting a PS3 game on there. It'd probably just blow up and turn into a black hole and it would never work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the PS3 system architecture was just too different. And not well designed enough it wasn't future proof. Clearly,
that whole thing was just a little wonky. Yeah. And kind of going back to the 3D audio, I know a lot of people, especially your husband, Andrew, are very excited about this. I don't fully understand the tech behind it, but it sounds like it's going to be really cool that you can get that surround sound effect through your TV speakers, which is kind of neat. And at launch, the PS5 is going to have 5 HRTF options, which stands for head-related transfer function.
Cool.
And this is
I love head-related transfer functions.
So this is how a person's ear receives a sound from a point in space and is unique to individuals, which is why they have to apparently launch with 5 of them, which is why they were talking about doing molds of ears, and way too techie for me, but still interesting that they're putting this much oomph into it.
What if you they gave you like wax and then you molded your ear and then you sent it into PlayStation and they were like, here is your custom HRT.
Oh, like you do when you get like the Invisalign or the
Well, Ultimate Ears is doing that now. Actually, I did one of those custom in-ear molds. Ultimate Ears, of course, the fantastic division underneath Logitech. Logitech purchased Ultimate Ears, but they do Bluetooth speakers is what most people know them as, those little Bluetooth speakers that we all have. Our UE Ultimate Ears speakers. They now have a custom in-ear mold. So when you read that, Britt, in the story, I was like, he didn't mean that. I think when he said molded to, I think that meant to more like a euphemism of molding, like how you mold a person's personality. You don't physically mold
Here's
them.
Here's the quote from him. Maybe you'll be sending us a photo of your ear and we'll choose a neural network to pick the closest HRTF to pick from all of our library. Maybe you'll be sending us a video of your ear and your head and we'll make a 3D model of them and synthesize with the HRTF. Maybe you'll play an audio game to tune your HRTF.
So no, he did really mean a real mold.
It's a kink now. We're gonna send you pictures. Somewhere in Sony PlayStation, it's just a bunch of ear pictures.
Everybody send your photos of your ears to Mark Cerny. Oh my god, hilarious!
Oh my god, wait, does he have a Twitter? Should we all start sending pictures of our ears?
He definitely has a Twitter. I don't think he uses it, but
I think we should all do it anyway, because then if anybody logs in on that account, they're just gonna have a bunch of ads of ears.
Oh God, Simon,
Listen,
I want you to send me a picture of your HRTF.
I'm not.
Oh yeah.
I'm not surprised. People search for photos of our feet. You know, why not our ears? Let's just put it out there.
Ears
you
are
know?
gonna be next.
It's
Mark Cerny is a
easily-
brilliant man, and he can predict trends. And this is the newest trend.
I mean, ears. I feel like we can easily monetize those. So let's do it. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay. My face hurts. I'm smiling. That was
All right,
funny.
let's talk about the next box.
the next one. Simon, you want to take this one?
Oh, sure, why not? So, you know, a little bit before PlayStation went on its technical tirade, we got a little bit more information about the Xbox, aka the Xbox Series X. So I'm not also the same way, Brittany. I'm not gonna read the specs off. You can Google them specifically, but I will read a little bit of the breakdown. So the Series X processor is powerful enough to run 4 Xbox One S game sessions simultaneously. Ray tracing, a major point of pride for both Xbox Series X and PS5, is also delivering apparently incredible results. Dedicated hardware inside the Series X seemingly means that the console can handle more intensive ray tracing than expected, harnessing the equivalent of 25 teraflops of power, despite the console's GPU having only 12 teraflops.
All them flippity flops.
The quick resume feature continues to sound impressive, storing game states in the solid state drive, allowing you to turn off, unplug, or update your console, and then boot directly back into the game where you left it running. Hallelujah, this sounds amazing. So per the blog post, one of the testers on the team unplugged his console for a week, then took an update, and was still able to continue right where he left off without so much as a loading screen.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
Sorry, continue.
Yeah, one major point covered in today's news is the benefit of Series X on older games. We've already learned that Gears 5 will have a Series X port free for those who already own it. However, Microsoft has discussed a curated list of Xbox One games that will work to improve on the new hardware, upping resolutions and potentially doubling frame rates. The Series X is also seemingly capable of applying convincing HDR effects even to games that weren't designed with that functionality in mind. Digital Foundry was shown both Halo 5 and original Xbox title Fusion Frenzy, which was released well before HDR was going on, running with what was apparently a real-looking HDR effect. This is system-wide and should apply to any game capable of running on the Series X, no matter its age. This tech can also be used to add color blindness modes to games that didn't support them at the time. That's pretty neat. Microsoft confirmed that the mystery slot in the back of the upcoming console will be used to house a proprietary NVMe SSD card designed to increase the internal storage, which is currently 1 terabyte by default. However, you'll still be able to use USB 3.1 and external HDDs for last-gen games. Owners will also be able to use their proprietary SSD cartridges to increase the storage capacity. However, the SSD will only be necessary for Xbox One Series X. No, God damn it, these titles. Xbox Series X games specifically because of the need to optimize next-gen titles for velocity architecture. Players who already use external storage devices to house Xbox One or older generation games can easily migrate them to Xbox Series X. A potential downside of the proprietary NVMe SSD, however, is that buyers will likely only be able to purchase the SSD cartridges directly from Microsoft or official partners, so you can't just purchase third-party alternatives that could potentially be cheaper or more readily available. The Xbox Series X controller looks very similar to its predecessor, but has a few key changes, including new buttons, ergonomic changes for those with smaller hands, and Brittany put in here, like Stiver, indeed, like me, I have small hands, and better compatibility with non-Xbox devices. The biggest difference is in how the controller will now be easier to hold for those with smaller hands like me. While not immediately noticeably smaller, the team has achieved that effect by, quote, rounding the bumpers, slightly reducing and rounding parts around the triggers, and carefully sculpting the grips. Bumpers and triggers now also have a tactical dot pattern not found on the standard Xbox One controllers. The new D-pad is designed as a hybrid between the two swappable designs on the Xbox Elite controller. It has a slightly deeper lowest point, allowing them to sit more comfortably inside, and will apparently allow for easy pressing of up, down, left, and right, while also making it easier to perform sweeps or diagonals.
Ooh, it's getting hot in here.
All right, let's get rolling. As previously seen, the controller now has a share button between and below the view and menu buttons. The controller will now remember multiple Bluetooth devices to allow for faster connections and includes Bluetooth Low Energy that should make pairing more simple. The controller also now has a USB-C port for pairing and connecting. It was listed for a Thanksgiving 2020 release date, but Microsoft tells IGN that the system is still on track for, quote, holiday 2020. Well, Thanksgiving is a holiday, my friends.
Wow. That's a lot. I know. Did you see that? It got posted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
That was funny.
So, it could be November. It's November or December. It's probably November. It's really not rocket science.
Yeah. There's a lot here. So I kind of broke down some of the things that stood out to me a little bit.
Okay.
So when it comes to the solid state drive, the loading times, the game they were using was State of Decay 2, which has been notorious for its very long load times. And typically it's a 39-second load screen, and I timed it. And on the new one, Xbox Series X, it was 5 seconds. Whoa. Obviously, it's a lot better. The quick resume is really cool. Like Steimer was talking about earlier, it lets you pause games and hop into other ones. So the games they had on display was Forza, State of Decay 2, Ori, Hellblade, and a game called The Cave. And it was great to see them playing something and then stop and then hop into something, and then it is immediate, which I think is a cool feature. I don't know if that's something I'll use because I tend just to play one game at a time, but I imagine if you are a social person, you have friends that you play games with them. I wouldn't know anything about that. And that if like Andrea is playing Ori and Summer's like, hey bitch, let's play Gears, Andrea can just stop her game and immediately hop into Gears without having to find like a save point. I just think that's really cool technology. That's the stuff that I was hoping we'd see from PlayStation's thing today, but clearly didn't happen.
We did get from go ahead, Andrea.
I was just saying, talking about the quick resume, that technology is currently available in Nintendo's Classic Edition, which I thought was really fantastic, that they took something that was such like a neat little idea in these retro games that clearly have very few assets to load, right? Compared to games of 2020 and beyond. That they're saying, did you like this cool feature that you could play with these retro games on this really tiny platform? We're going to make it available with these big games that have lots and lots of assets to load. So I'm excited to check it out.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And then the issue with this whole thing is the proprietary, whatever, I can't talk.
Proprietary.
That word, memory cards. And people are worried that you'll have to, obviously you're going to have to purchase these directly from Microsoft or Seagate, I think is who they're working with. And how much is that going to cost? Because one terabyte.
It's going to be expensive because, think back to the Xbox 360. Like
Right.
those were also proprietary hard drives that you had to buy.
Mhm.
And they weren't cheap.
Yeah, I saw an article, I don't know who it was, but something along the lines of what will need to be sold is about $100 to $200. So that's a big beefy attachment, but I guess you can just delete all your games off your hard drive.
Yeah, you don't need to hoard them
like Andrea does.
Well, I do. I hoard them mostly because I'm a collector, and I was a physical collector for a long time, and we've already talked about why I've started to move away from that. But I think what is interesting about this is that this is like the one very glaring head-to-head point that PlayStation differs than Xbox on, is that PlayStation made a very clear point of saying they're not going to have that proprietary software and you're going to be able to use. But he did say we're not done vetting those, and so essentially saying like don't go out and buy another external hard drive for SSD right now. We're still going to test some third-party manufacturers, and they'll put out a list of approved and compatible devices later, closer to launch. But I think Xbox is maybe leaning into the idea that if you are going to have external storage, they're going to make their architecture work more seamlessly or efficiently by making it proprietary, because they're still going to be leaning on xCloud, Project xCloud. And I think that's something that they haven't really talked about, how Project xCloud is going to intersect with Xbox Series X and where those systems are going to overlap. But I imagine that for the vast majority of gamers that they're probably going to be, using both services hand in hand if you're part of the Xbox ecosystem. So lots to unpack here for sure.
Yeah, I think the one thing we have not touched on that is the biggest deal to me. So what I really think about this next generation, because I do think there's an argument to be made that games are pretty damn good now, but I think what we're really going to be getting with next gen is more performance, right? It's just more quality of life, I feel. And one of those quality of life things is, of course, the fan. The fan on both of these.
Okay.
Going to be much quieter.
I'm going to insert a question from patreon.com/what'sgoodgames because I feel like we could tie this in. Matthew Goder, what features do you think the PS5 could have, which have or haven't been announced, that will make it more desirable than the new Xbox?
I mean, whichever one's quieter is going to be my
There you go.
There you go.
But the other interesting thing, this is a really random, tiny nitpick. So the Series X, they always have been showing it vertically, and now they have while they have confirmed that yes, like you can flip it on its side, the logo won't be correct if you do that. It will be sideways, and that will bug the shit out of me. So I'm like, you really did design this thing to sit vertically, and I don't know if you've seen a media console, but that's not how they work. Everything is horizontal. So I feel like they need to flip that logo.
Pull what was it, PlayStation 2 that allows you to flip the logo?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So you can do it either way. Like I hope actually that'd be really dope if they were like, no, we've thought of this, and you just
an
rotate
actual
it.
button though. Yeah. I saw did you see the banana comparison? They put a banana on the Series X to show you how big it really is.
Oh yeah,
I saw
scale.
I saw someone describe it as 2 GameCubes ish.
Yeah.
But
okay.
Going back to your question, Matthew, what features do you think the PS5 could have that would make it more desirable than the new Xbox? I'm, like Samara was saying earlier, I'm a simple woman. Just let the games run, let them run well. And I think it all comes down to exclusives as well. For me, at this point, I mean, I'm going to buy 2 consoles anyway, so I guess it doesn't really...
it's not really about that, but it does... The user experience on both, it's just a little... I don't even want to say laggy, but it can feel that way, especially with the Xbox that I have, which is Xbox One X. I still feel like it's slow. Like I still feel like when I boot it up, it takes a while to get going, and then it takes a while to get into the. Once it's in the game, it does fairly well, but like getting to that point feels like kind of leading a horse down the road. Come on, Charlie, let's go.
Charlie.
I don't know. Why not? But so if a lot of those experiences can be like infinitely faster and feel a lot snappier, that's going to be awesome for me. And then obviously on top of that, the game's running a lot better, the graphics being smoother and crisper, like all that's going to be delicious. Give it to me.
Yeah, I think if there's anything that we've seen from this last generation, what makes or breaks the consoles are the exclusives. And I can't imagine there's a single feature out there besides if you're talking about like the subscription services like Game Pass or the value for your buck that would cause someone to be like, I must have a PlayStation over an Xbox or vice versa. It all kind of comes down to what games you can get on what platform.
And like what ecosystem you're already fairly attached to.
Yeah.
Because if you already haven't had a PlayStation for a really long time or an Xbox for a really long time, it's hard to leave the library behind and be like, I already have all my shit on this Xbox, like because I buy all my third parties here, or whatever. Same for PlayStation. So I don't think either console is going to come out with something again, like you said, Brittany, aside from maybe a service attached to it that's really sexy and appealing. The consoles themselves are going to be like fairly the same.
Yeah, flippity flops.
But we got all the flops.
All the flops. What do you think, Andrew, Renee?
I was just looking up this photo of the banana next to the Xbox Series X to see exactly what it looks like. And I didn't realize the banana's like relative because let's be honest, bananas can be very small or they can be big. Every banana is unique and individual.
Every banana is special.
Some are curved, some are straighter than others.
Exactly. Some are thicker and thinner. Who knows about your banana? So here's the thing that was more important to me though, is that they had an Xbox One X next to an Xbox Series X. And I have an Xbox One X, the Gears of War edition that Xbox sent to us right here in the studio. And I'm looking at it going, that's not that large. And so I look at how the Xbox One X is technically shorter in vertical height when the Xbox One X is standing on its side. It's technically shorter according to this photo. So I'm like, oh, that actually it's not that bad. I feel like it's going to be tough to really understand what the size of this thing is until we see like a person holding it or, see it like in space, because right now everything we're seeing is just like marketing photos, right? Okay,
Yeah.
so the size of the thing aside, because listen, size is really not that important at the end of the day. What is important is that
How you use it.
exactly.
Sorry, I could not resist.
No, exactly. I think that I have been very happy with how Microsoft and Xbox have shaped this generation from beginning to end, and they're in a really good place to set themselves up for success. But as you ladies have already said, and we've talked about many times previously, it's still going to come down to is what can I play on my Xbox? I feel like right now the consoles are very close to equal as far as third-party games are concerned. If I'm going to decide where I'm going to play the next Assassin's Creed game, it's a toss-up for me. I played Assassin's Creed Origins on my PlayStation 4. I played Assassin's Creed Odyssey on my Xbox One X. And I think that they both were really fantastic performing machines. And I think that's the thing that it comes down to right now is like you're not going to really make a decision based off hardware and performance because they're so neck and neck. Is Xbox forever going to milk the fact that they have more teraflops and they're technically more powerful? Sure. But you know what? Horizon Zero Dawn looked real pretty. God of War looked real pretty. Can't play either of those games on an Xbox One X, no matter how much more powerful it is than a PlayStation 4 Pro. So I think most gamers feel that way too, right? That it's going to come down to what games can I play? What games do I want to spend my money on? And where's my value for my dollar going to be? And I think Xbox's edge going into the next generation is Xbox Game Pass and Project X Cloud. Because right now, Sony still has not given an answer. And while I appreciate that they've dropped the price of PlayStation Now, the offering on PlayStation Now, in my opinion, does not compare to the game offering on Xbox Game Pass. And so I think it's going to be interesting to see from a software perspective, head-to-head, where we're going to be for launch lineup going into the holiday season.
Amen, sister. So when do you ladies think we're going to hear something about PlayStation 5? Like the fun stuff?
I mean, who knows at this point? I mean, I was going to say maybe around E3 time in June, but now that they've done this announcement here, I mean, they could announce it literally any time. I mean, we'll definitely see it before the marketing dollar spend happens for the fall. So I'm guessing the next major announcement is going to happen sometime between May and August.
Yeah, I think we're going to get obviously the Xbox news around E3 time. I think Sony's going to hold their cards to their little chest or big chest, huge chest, ginormous chest. And then
we just said size doesn't matter.
We did.
I know. We did. You're right.
I think that they're going to allow The Last of Us Part 2 launch to happen and make sure that they don't overshadow this game, because we all know that that game is coming to PS5, right? But they also want to sell it on PS4 because that's its, primary piece of hardware that you play it on. I think that they'll probably let that launch get out of the way, and then, they can come in with a really big splashy software unveiling later in the season. Maybe that's with, a Ghost of Tsushima. Maybe that's with a Horizon Zero Dawn 2. Who knows? But I don't think it's going to be for at least another few months. I would guess July or June at the earliest.
Yeah.
And on that note, let's talk about the other console maker that's still kicking and actually doing quite well for themselves. Nintendo had a direct focused on their brand new Indie World Showcase. So they unveiled this new brand that they are featuring called Indie World. Of course, you guys have heard about the Nindies for a long time. And then they decided, because it's GDC week, the Game Developers Conference, which has been postponed due to the COVID-19 outbreak, that they wanted to still do a feature. So Brittany and I were scheduled to go and play some of these games and meet some of these developers in San Francisco this week. And unfortunately, we are not there. But they did a showcase, and I was so glad that they featured some of the developers in the showcase. So let's go ahead and just read this little recap of news from Newsweek. The latest Nintendo Direct has finished and gave fans a rundown of what independent games are coming in 2020. The March Indie Showcase online presentation offered a closer look at a variety of games from different genres, including first-person shooters, click-and-play adventures, RPGs, and everything in between. And we've compiled these games. So if we go on over to the Newsweek story, we're not going to go through every single one of these games because there were quite a few if you guys caught the Direct that happened earlier this week. But I think some of the standouts, of course, Exit the Gungeon was officially unveiled for console, coming first to Nintendo Switch, which I think is fantastic. And then we've got Baldo was another big one that people were very excited about from Map Teams.
Stammer, you should look at Baldo. I think you would really like the art style. It kind of reminds me of a Ni no Kuni
when they were said Balto.
I know, right? The dog. No.
Yeah.
When they were describing this Naps team from Italy, he was saying it unifies action adventure RPG and anime. There's characters, dungeons, puzzles, open world, and it should be worth noting, like, all of these except for one were very explicitly stated that they are a Nintendo Switch timed exclusive. So these probably
looks adorable,
right? I know it's totally your style. I saw it, I was like, oh, that looks real cute.
Oh my god, yes.
Yeah, Baldo.
Well, hold on to your butt. You might be also into Bark, B.Arc. From TikTok Games, it's time for pugs, cats, bears, and bunnies to save the solar system.
Oh, yes.
Call your friends over to pilot powerful yet adorable ships as you team up against waves of enemies and side-scrolling shooter. I just like the description.
It's really cute. I don't love side-scrolling shooters, but the art is adorable.
Yeah, it's really cute. The description on the stream was, it's a 2D side-scrolling space co-op space shooter. Maybe I added space more than once. Where you play as one of four ferocious animal astronauts trying to liberate the Earth from crazy robots. Like, yeah. And then Summer and Mara also looks like right at my alley. This is a game out of Spain, and that's something really cool too about this Nintendo, what's it called, Indie World Showcase, is there's a few games here. You got one from Italy, one from Spain, you have a game from Argentina. It's kind of nice. They're highlighting other creators and whatnot, but they're developers.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think probably the biggest developer that we heard from during this direct was Hello Games, which we haven't heard from since No Man's Sky. They announced their brand new game called The Last Campfire. The description says, discover a beautiful wilderness filled with lost folk, strange creatures, and mysterious ruins as you journey to light the last campfire. Experience a truly moving tale of magic and mystery when The Last Campfire launches for Nintendo Switch this summer.
So, worth noting, this is actually revealed back in 2018.
What? When did that happen?
I don't know. I'm looking at an article right now, dated December 6, 2018, and the title is, the new studio behind No Man's Sky has a new bite-sized game called The Last Campfire.
Wow. I just completely missed that.
I think it flew under the radar. But no, this also looks like a very emotional, sweet game. A game that'll probably make you cry in a good way.
Yeah.
The reveal from the developers was really, really sweet. It kind of gave me that Yarny vibe from Unravel.
Oh,
yeah.
Now that you mentioned that, yeah, I guess that is kind of the same vibe.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so there's a bunch. Q Games announced Pixel Junk Eden 2. I love Q Games. I'm a big fan, of the Monster Tower Defense game, and there's a bunch of stuff in here. So if you guys missed it and you're into indies, Nintendo did not hold back. Was really bummed that we didn't get the opportunity to play these titles at GDC this week because we were really hoping to get hands-on with quite a few of them. But the good news is that a lot of these games are going to be on Nintendo Switch by summer. So not long to wait for sure. I did need to mention that something about this presentation gave me the craziest GameStop TV flashbacks. Huh? So I was listening to this stream and watching it while I was getting ready. And all of the scripting and the VO work. And if you recognize one of those VO voices, it's because it's a recognizable VO voice of my friend John Vignacchi, who works at Nintendo, he did a great job, who also used to be a host for Disney Infinity TV back in the day. But the way that the scripting was literally felt like I was back there with Chris on set reading teleprompter for GameStop TV. I was like, wow, it just feels like it's such marketing copy going back and forth between the two hosts. And that's not bad. It just felt really canned in a way. But I don't know why. I was listening to the stream, watching the gameplay, and going just every time the VO would come on, I would just twitch a little bit and oh my gosh, am I back on set? Am I reading scripts again on GameStop TV? But I did really love how they had messages from the developers. You got to see their faces and hear from those people who we would have gotten to hear from if we were at the Game Developers Conference this week. So I thought that was a really nice touch from Nintendo. So great job. Anywho,
Woo.
moving
right,
on.
next up.
Speaking of GDC, Britt, what's the next story?
You'll be able to play GDC 2020 game demos at home on Steam. This comes from Destructoid. So last year, the Game Awards organizer Jeff Keighley helped put together a stay-at-home video game demo showcase on Steam called the Game Festival. The second iteration, the 2020 Steam Game Festival Spring Edition, began at 10 a.m. Pacific on March 18th, 2020. That is today, with free demos for a, quote, selection of new and upcoming games. The limited-time PC game demos will be playable until March 23rd at 10 a.m. Pacific. There are 40-plus game demos that otherwise would have appeared at the 2020 Game Developers Conference were it not for the pandemic we're currently facing. The Game Festival is now live and includes demos for Chicory, Haven, Garden Story, Curious Expedition 2, Heavenly Bodies, and a bunch of other indie Mega Booth and Day of the Devs games. Keighley says the team is planning to run, quote, more editions of the festival throughout the year to connect gamers around the world to content you can play at home. And as for the current PC-only caveat, the organizers are also working hard to make the festival available on more platforms, too. Very cool.
Very nice.
It's a very nice,
I mean, they
cool
worked
thing.
really hard to get these demos going, so it's nice that were not in vain, and people will still be able to play them.
Right. One of the games that's also available is She Dreams Elsewhere, which is the game I was talking about last week. You should check that game out. Another shout out to it. Someone tweeted to Jeff about doing something similar for E3, and he said that he's working on it. I'm trying to.
Oh, that'd be nice. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if people stopped working on those demos already to be like, well, screw it. I guess we just work on the game now.
Yeah. Someone said, "Save us, Jeff. You're our only hope," regarding filling the void of no E3, and he said, "Working on it."
Jeff is not your only hope. Okay. I've heard whispers of things happening as well that are not Jeff Keighley related, though Jeff Keighley is phenomenal. And as far as I'm aware, he's trying to maintain the Game Critics Awards that always happen around E3. But of course, we're trying to figure out what that looks like and how we're going to accomplish that. But not when I say we, I don't mean like me and Jeff are like in cahoots about how to do that. I mean, he as an organization is trying to figure out with the other judges about what to do if there's people that are willing to participate and what that looks like. So, but hopefully it all works out because I think that those developers deserve recognition for all that hard work.
Yeah.
It's true. All right. And then we have some in case you missed it. Plural.
Yeah.
All right.
Red-
Number.
Oh,
you want me to do
I was
it?
gonna read them.
Oh, yeah, you
Why,
go
why
first,
don't we?
Bethel.
Why don't we do one each?
Okay. Oh, so cute.
Or we can
It's like
alternate or
past-
whatever.
Yeah,
Come
no,
on.
I'm in.
Yeah.
I'll take
Okay,
the
so
last
first-
one maybe then.
Sure.
No, middle one? I'll take the middle one.
Okay. Resident Evil 3 demo is coming Thursday, March 19th, which is, yesterday if you're listening to this. And Resident Evil Resistance Open Beta is arriving March 27th, a week before Resident Evil 3 releases. Capcom Asia's YouTube channel has a 4-minute Raccoon City incident report that does a good job at giving you Resident Evil backstory if you need it.
Yeah, play
I
the shit
definitely
out of
need it. I mean, like, I have Brittany, but, I'm a visual
I
learner.
mean, yeah.
So maybe, Brittany, if you could Microsoft paint me the story of Resident Evil up until the demo, then I'll be okay. And if you want to see that happen, twitch.tv/whatsgoodgames. We're going to be streaming the Resident Evil 3 demo on Monday. Don't forget to come join us.
It's gonna be great.
If you ordered a physical copy of the Final Fantasy VII Remake, you might not get it on time due to COVID-19. Wah, wah, wah. Via Square Enix, the worldwide release of Final Fantasy VII Remake on April 10th will go ahead. However, with the foreseeable changes in the distribution and retail landscape, which carries across countries, it is increasingly likely that some of you will not get your copy of the game on the release date. We have a question from patreon.com/whatsgoodgames from Anakin JMT. Is that an abbreviation for a word? Or do we just think
I
it's
have no
JMT? With physical games being delayed and digital being the only surefire way to get games on release, will this greatly accelerate the phasing out of retail's copies of the games? That's a great question. And based off what's been happening with GameStop over the last couple of days, maybe?
I think what might happen is people might understand that physical is great, but sometimes it ain't great. I think that's
this might be the catalyst, or like, getting people who were very like, no, I must have my physical copy to try digital, and then they may like it.
And then they get
hooked. Could be the gateway drug.
That's what happened to me. I was like, oh, this is actually very convenient. I don't have to go anywhere. I mean, granted, I do love midnight releases, and in case you missed it, the Doom and Animal Crossing midnight releases have been canceled, which I guess isn't really relevant.
I said
that was yesterday. If you're listening to this on Friday, but anyway, yeah, I think this could definitely open people's eyeballs. Be like, oh, this is nice.
Yeah, I think that, we know that the march of digital and streaming is inevitable, but I still stand by that it's tough for a lot of people to live in a digital-only world right now, especially when we have so many people that are, maxing out their local networks. We've heard all kinds of horror stories since this work-from-home mandate and social distancing mandate has been laid out by several states, at least here in the United States. I'm not even going to go into all of the other things that are happening in other countries. This trouble that people are having getting on conferencing software, getting the bandwidth that they've paid for, because a lot of the ISPs were just not prepared to handle this different workload of bandwidth. And honestly, that's an indication that our ISPs and telecoms all over the world need to keep up with the technology. And it's wild that I'm saying that sentence out loud because they're the ones who are creating the tech. But at the same time, I feel like they have the technology, but they're intentionally holding it back because they're trying to figure out how to charge as much for it as possible. And that just makes me feel gross.
Shake your fist.
Yeah.
Makes you feel better. Next up, CD Projekt Red has announced a new game set in the world of Witcher will begin development after Cyberpunk 2077 release. They also said they're still, quote, on track with Cyberpunk 2077 for September 17th, 2020. That team's working from home as well, so people were concerned about their video games, and they're like, it's okay. It's going to be fine. We're still on track. We have a question from patreon.com/whatsgoodgames from Delilah Lugo. Do you think the new Witcher game is going to be a banger with Ciri as the main protagonist, or let down as a mobile game of sorts? They wouldn't hype it up just for a mobile game, right?
I'm abstaining from this question for
obvious reasons. Yeah. So just as a reminder, Steimer did used to work for CDPR. So let me take this one, Assassina. So here's the thing. It's very possible that this is a mobile game because I don't know if you remember how much they hyped up Gwent, but there's a very real possibility that this is mobile, and I think everybody needs to prepare themselves for that. Also, friendly reminder, there's nothing wrong with mobile games. Mobile games are great. There's a lot of awesome mobile games. Are there a lot of shit mobile games? Sure, but there's a lot of shit console and PC games too. Here's the thing. I think that it's important to manage your own personal expectations for what you want out of a game versus what developers want. And I think a perfect poster boy for this is what happened with Blizzard and Diablo. That team was very excited about the project that they were making for Diablo, but the audience was not, because they had a specific expectation. And I think it's important to kind of mitigate your expectations as to what is realistic, not only from a business perspective, but also what do the devs want to work on? What was successful for them? Because they're a business too. So not only do they want to work on stuff that's exciting, but they also want to work on stuff that's profitable. So it might be a mobile game that's being hyped up just like that. Because let me tell you, I still get Gwent press releases almost every other week.
I hope nothing wrong with mobile games like Andrea said. I'm very excited for Diablo Immortal. I'm going to play it. It's awesome. But I think I personally would be a little bummed. You think about The Witcher, you think of those big, expansive worlds and seeing what they're doing with Cyberpunk. Can you imagine them taking the Witcher universe and doing something with that? I think you can't help but feel excited about that. But yes, expectations should always be checked.
That said, let's be honest. They're definitely working on another AAA Witcher game, Avi.
Oh, give it all to me. Give it in my face.
But knowing how long they supported The Witcher 3 post-launch and how long it took them between when we first heard about Cyberpunk 2077, which BT Dubs was a long time ago, to when it's coming out, don't anticipate playing The Witcher 4 for PC or console or Stadia or whatever streaming platform is going to be out in 2027 for a long time. That's all.
All right, Sammer, baby girl, you want to get this next one?
Oh, God, thanks.
Take us home, Steimer.
All right, via Kotaku. During today's White House press conference, the Trump administration's coronavirus task force response coordinator, Dr. Deborah Birx, called on millennials to take the threat of infection more seriously. Why? Because they are, quote, part of the group that brought us innovation, particularly throughout all of their ability to look around corners and skip through games. I always went by level, Birx said. I didn't realize you could go from level 3 to level 7. That's what they've taught us. They look for things we don't see. We need them to be healthy. It is currently unclear which game Birx was talking about.
Is that a compliment?
My favorite part is their
is
ability to look around corners.
And skip through games. I didn't realize you could go from level 3 to level 7. That's what they've taught us.
You can't.
Well, I'm glad we've been useful on this planet, us millennial folk.
Really just speed gaming is what
Yeah.
I really want to, I feel like someone showed this woman games done quick, but I don't know when or why they would have done that. I want to know what happened there. I need the story. She needs to tell us more.
I mean, for that to leave such a lasting impression that she would give that during a press conference. I mean, I wish I could see the look on her face. Like, what happened? Did someone wall hack? Maybe it was Mario 3 or Mario. Is it Mario 3 where you can skip the levels really easily? I think that might be the one.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, where you can, like, the first level, you jump on those blocks and you create a little path and you walk up and then you get to warp zone. Anyway.
Innovation.
While we're talking about
AKA
this,
hacksaws.
yeah, exactly. I do want to make one shout out as kind of like a cool PSA when we're talking about how cool and awesome and nerdy gamers are and how science around gaming actually pushes cool tech forward. If you guys missed it, over the weekend, NVIDIA GeForce tweeted out, PC gamers, let's put those GPUs to work. Join us and our friends at official PCMR in supporting folding at home and donating unused GPU computing power to fight against COVID-19. So they have a whole Reddit thread about this. Essentially, what they're trying to do is use your PC power to help them find out data about the virus. So on the Reddit thread, it says coronavirus-specific GPU projects are now available at Folding at Home. So this is a program that they've been doing actually for quite some time and has been put to use for a variety of other, diseases that are in need of some computing boost. We're talking things like Alzheimer's and other diseases that, there's still a lot of research happening in the medical field about. So if you guys want to join and donate your unused GPU and CPU computing power to fight against coronavirus and several other illnesses like cancer, Parkinson's, etc., you can get the download on the Reddit site. If you go to NVIDIA's Twitter, they have a link pinned at the top. So that's just at NVIDIA GeForce. And you can find the link there and, get your PC Master Race cred and actually put it to work for a good cause. That's all. I just wanted to let you guys know that that's happening because it's cool. Technology is cool sometimes, and gamers do good things. They do bad things too, but mostly we want to believe that we're good. We're good.
Let's just highlight the good shit.
Yeah, the good stuff. That's what What's Good Games is all about. And on that note, let's take our first break of the show. When we come back, we're going to talk about what we've been playing, including Doom Eternal, more Yakuza, I imagine, some Ori and the Will of the Wisps, and of course Roundguard, which I didn't get to last week, and more. Stick with us. We'll be right back. What's good, everybody, and welcome back. It's the second segment of the What's Good Games podcast. This is where we talk about what we've been playing and any preview events that we have been to. But spoilers, there's no preview events, at least for the time being. So the good news, though, is that there's lots of time to play video games at home. And this week, this segment is brought to you by ID Tech Camps. We know that many of you out there who have children are facing school closures, and your summer plans, well, they're probably up in the air. IdTech, the world leader in tech education experiences, or ID Tech, if you are more of that kind of fan, just launched virtual tech camps to serve kids and teens who are stuck at home right now. They're structured week-long sessions that start as early as this coming week, and they're going to run all the way through summer, allowing students to build new skills, create awesome projects, and socialize with friends remotely. Plus, parents, you'll love how much you can accomplish while your kids are online with EdTech camps. Together, we're all going to get through this. So now you guys have heard us talk about these awesome camps on the show before, and while they absolutely have summer programs, because of all the uncertainty around the pandemic that's happening in the world, what's really great is that they've launched these new virtual camps as well. So in case you guys don't remember, the ID Tech is one of the world's #1 STEM programs for kids ages 7 to 19. Their rockstar instructors transform your child's love of apps and video games, and yes, games like Minecraft, Fortnite, and Instagram. Is Instagram a game? Yes, it's definitely a game.
Yeah, definitely.
Into a foundation for college, internships, and dream careers at companies like Google, EA, and Disney. Kids have a blast and build the STEM skills employers are desperate for. ID Tech was founded in Silicon Valley, and today their programs are held at 150 prestigious campus destinations worldwide, from Caltech to NYU to UPenn and Cambridge. Chances are you can find a location within driving distance from your house. Week-long day and overnight options are available as well, with courses for all skill levels. In addition to their signature camps, ID Tech also offers all-girls camps, pre-collegiate, that's the word, pre-collegiate teen-only academies, and advanced capstone experiences, plus year-round online private lessons. When you invest in your child today, tomorrow takes care of itself. So if you guys are interested in learning more about not only their in-person camps that are happening later this summer and into the fall, but also their brand new virtual camps, you have to go to idtech.com. So that's idtech.com/what's good to reserve your child's spot, and you'll even get $75 off for being a listener of What's Good Games. So that's idtech.com/what's good for $75 off your reservation. idtech.com/what's good, and you can hopefully get that kid that's been bothering you while you're working from home into something that's going to benefit their future. So I'm trying to decide what's the first game that we talk about this week. I kind of feel like Doom. Okay. I was going to be like, do I talk about Roundguard from last week? Okay, Brittany, you've played Doom for like an hour.
For an hour. I put this in air quotes. So I wonder, I've been thinking about how I'm going to phrase this all week. So I have nothing bad to say about Doom. I have absolutely nothing bad to say about it. I think it runs well. The shooting's fantastic. I get what you guys have said when you said it's like a puzzle when you shoot it, because you have to know when to chainsaw demons, when you have to slice them in half and melee them. But I think with everything going on right now, it's not meshing well with me. It's definitely an intense game, and it's not the kind of shooter you can just like turn on the easiest difficulty unless you're very, very, very good and just blindly go through it and kind of like lose yourself. You have to constantly be thinking about, what am I going to do next? Where am I going to go? And so I played it for about an hour. And I loved Doom in 2016. I think that's when it came out. Yep. I loved it. And I know I'm going to love Doom Eternal. Just like right now, I'm more into just losing myself into a game like Yakuza than playing Doom. Does that make sense?
Yes. 100%.
So that's, yeah. So that's, I'm going to set it aside for now. And then maybe when things calm down and I'm in a more chill, because there's that constant like hum of anxiety just always like there. And for some reason, I thought Doom would be a stress reliever. But for some reason right now, it's kind of like making it a little worse because I don't like dying a lot.
Who does?
Yeah. And you're playing it on easy and you're still finding it.
No. I played, what's the normal mode? It's,
okay, yeah. Just what do you have?
It's called Hurt Me Plenty.
Hurt Me Plenty, because I want to experience the strategy of it, right? And so that's the mode I want to play it on. And to its credit, when you do die, I feel like the checkpointing is very well, and it's not so frustrating where like, screw this, you want to throw the controller. No, you want to learn the level, you want to get good, and you want to learn the best way to get past it. And I did that several times, like, yeah, this is great. And then I was like, man, I'm just thinking about Yakuza right now, because when I play Yakuza, I just completely zone and I zen and I forget about all the shit fire, if you will, that's happening in the real world. So I'm going to set Doom aside for now, and then I'm going to go back to it because I feel like that's only fair for the game.
I
like, enjoy it.
100% understand. So I streamed the first 2 hours of Doom on our Twitch channel. So if you guys want to check that out, you're more than welcome to. But yeah, it's intense. I mean, Doom by itself, like without everything that's happening in the world today, isn't a very intense game. And it is high fantasy graphic violence for the sake of being a video game. And, you know, it as a company and Bethesda are not making any qualms about that, not apologizing for it. They're like, yeah, it's a video game. It's like a super fantasy violent video game, but it's demons and you're in hell and you're killing these terrible demons. And so I'm glad that they've committed to it and they've leaned in, because it is a fantastic piece of game making. And it has always been, you know, the kind of, I think, poster child for FPS gameplay, and they helped create the genre to what it is today. I think that is without question. And I've been really enjoying the time that I've spent with it, but I'm with you that it's a lot. And I also, when I played Doom 2016, could only play like about 45 minutes to an hour at a time. I will say Doom Eternal, as I mentioned in my preview coverage, is more approachable than its predecessor was, and I'm really glad that id took the time to make it more approachable, but it's still like a really high intensity shooter. So
yeah, and I think that's just it. When I played 2016, I had no problem whatsoever. I just blazed through it. I was like, yeah, this is fucking great. And like I said, I thought for sure this would be a stress reliever game, but it turns out it's more of a triggering game right now, because I just want to, like I said, zen and like not have to think about too much what I'm doing. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't played it since the preview event that Andrea and I did, but I feel you on it's initially wow, words. All right.
Words are hard.
Initially, I find it is an anxiety spiker, but then once I felt like I was in a rhythm.
In the groove of it.
It's still intense, and I don't mean to discredit you in any way, because I totally understand what you're saying. But it was sort of like an active meditation, if that makes any sense.
No, it totally
When
does.
I got into it, it was like, I'm still very much concentrating. I like, this drains you in a way like that a really mindless shooter will not, because you are constantly like looking and managing. But that's.
No, I totally get it.
And then my train of thought just derailed because I saw a Slack message pop up on my computer.
I know what you mean. I remember, like, even, like you said, 2016, even on this one, in the hour I played it, like, when I was in the rhythm, I was like, oh, yeah, like, jumping from platform, then you turn around and you blast that fucker's face off, and then you go and you melee him, and then you get your shit, and then you go and you chainsaw that guy. It's very satisfying once you do get in that rhythm, but I'm just not...
sitting there, it takes a little bit of time, and if you are already feeling slightly negative feelings in general about the world, it's kind of, it'll take a little longer to get there, so I get that.
I think some people will find it very meditative, like you were saying, but for some reason with me, it's just not doing that right now. But I'm excited to play it later, hopefully when the world isn't, like I said, a big shit fire.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and I don't need to rehash everything I said. I already said this game is amazing. It's Game of the Year material. If you like first-person shooters and you want a way to blow some steam, Doom Eternal is a phenomenal way to do so. The game looks great. I was playing it on PS4 Pro on the stream, and everyone's like, this isn't PC? And I was like, no, man, it just looks this good on PS4 Pro. So it looks awesome. Congrats to id and to Bethesda, and I hope that does really well for them, because it shows that they put a lot of love and care into this game, and it was super fun. But a game,
so good.
Yes, the music. I mean, it's probably one of the most iconic video game soundtracks that exists. Like the music of Doom, it just pumps you up. It's like this metal, but it's not like too metally. I like it.
It's like just enough. It's
just enough metal.
Just a dash of metal. Exactly. But I do want to talk about Roundguard. So this is a game that I mentioned last week on the show. We just kind of ran out of time, and I didn't get a chance to really fully talk about it. We did stream it. When I say we, Anthony Carboni and I streamed a little bit of it on Tuesday. But I think he just was not in the mood to focus on a game that required a little bit of attention. And I also don't think he's as big of a Peggle fan as I was. So just as a reminder, Roundguard is a Peggle roguelike RPG mashup from a small team called Wonderbelly Games, and it's available on pretty much every platform, I think. It's on Steam, Xbox, PS4, Switch, and on Apple Arcade. So I have a save that I'm playing on console, and I have it on my phone, and I love that it came to Apple Arcade because I love playing games like this on my phone. And essentially, if you liked Peggle and liked the gameplay of, shooting, like a little pinball, and then you have to hit a bunch of pegs and you get a variety of points. It's kind of like Plinko-ish, and you like roguelike, then I think this is going to be good for you. So the first 3 characters, they have a rogue, a wizard, and a barbarian, a brute,
base tank.
Yeah, whatever the tanky warrior, I think is his name. So you have 3 characters, and then each of those characters has a special ability, much like the characters in Peggle had special abilities, and I should say in Peggle 2. And right now, I'm really preferring the rogue. I thought I was going to go wizard for sure, but I like that the rogue kind of has like a double jump, so you can save yourself if you are getting close to the spikes at the bottom of the map. So essentially what you do is, instead of just hitting, the pins in random order, you have mana potions you want to hit, you have health potions you want to hit, and then you have a variety of enemies. And then as you go along, you'll pick up gear, and then each piece of gear will affect how you interact with the pegs on the board. One of the pieces of gear I picked up had this bubble effect. So if I got close to an enemy, I could hit my special ability, and it would encase the enemy in a bubble. So instead of me coming into contact directly with the enemy and losing health points, I would just bounce off of them like they were another peg. And so it would allow me to hit more pegs around the enemies. And then after one turn, the bubble would burst and do damage on the enemies. So it was a really cool little piece of gear. And so as you go through each level you'll pick up gear along the way. There's also mini boss fights, but because it's also a roguelike, when you die and you run out of health points, you're done and you have to start the run all over again. And that's the one part about the game that I'm not a fan of, and that's just because Andrea Renee just doesn't like roguelikes, like straight up. If you haven't figured that out about me yet by listening to the show, they're just not my thing.
It sounds like such a great concept, but yeah, in the same way, I do not like losing all of my progress and having to start over.
Well, it didn't feel punishing, at least what I've played so far. I obviously did a run and like you pick up gear, but you still level up your characters and you still have fun. And like to me, I like the gameplay enough that it makes it fun to want to keep doing runs. It's why I love Archero, which is another mobile game that I've been playing that also is kind of like a roguelike hybrid where you just go on runs and you kind of see how far you can get. But then as you collect items, you level up. There's persistent level ups with your character. So then when you go back in to do a dungeon run, you go in a little bit wiser and smarter and stronger so you can get further and further and further through the dungeon. And then, of course, you start to look at strategy. And, and that's what's, I think, a little bit interesting about how they're bringing the RPG elements into the roguelike. Because there are some roguelikes that are just punishing because they're like, nah, you got to get good. And I'm like, okay, I'll get good at something else then. Thanks, sir.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, and that's just not for me. And you guys know that's just not my gameplay. So I like that it has a little bit of the roguelike in there, but it doesn't feel like it's devastating. Like, it's not like a Darkest Dungeon kind of thing, where you're like, oh, why? I'm so bad at this. But yeah, it's cool. I highly encourage you to check it out, particularly if you have Apple Arcade. It's included in your subscription, and it's a great platform to play it on. But thanks to the Wonderbelly team for hooking me up with a code. I have really been enjoying it. It's a nice game to play on my phone when I need to just relax a little bit. Steimer.
Yeah, I have that one downloaded. I just haven't had a chance to play it yet because I've been playing other things.
Yeah, speaking of which, what have you been playing?
So I finished a little game called Yes, Your Grace. This was given to me. They gave me a code from their PR team, so thank you very much. And it is sort of like a kingdom management sim. It's on Steam, so I played it on my PC. And honestly, when you're talking about games, Brittany, that are like not gonna put you in a very good mood, this is kind of one of them, which is a little, just because it's stressful, right? So Yes, Your Grace is all of you are basically, there's an overarching storyline.
Do you want me to read the little blurb?
Yeah, go for it.
So this is from their PR team, and so the blurb says, Yes, Your Grace is a narrative-driven kingdom management game coming to PC and console in 2020, inspired by Slavic folklore. Yes, Your Grace tells the tale of a medieval kingdom where monsters and arcane practices are just a typical day at the office. You are king of the land and are tasked with talking your villagers through their various problems, from monsters attacking the village to a lack of places to relax and enjoy themselves.
So I'm looking at these headlines for Yes Your Grace. The ones that come up, it's punishing overly bleak kingdom management. It's a kingdom sim with heavy choices. It's about the stress of managing a kingdom. I'm like, dang, girl.
Yeah, they nailed the stress part for sure. But I did find both the characters interesting and the story interesting. And it's not like a terribly long game. So I was like, we're doing this. We're gonna make this kingdom as good as we can, and it really does make you feel at certain points where you're like, well, fuck it, I've already come this far. Like, we're gonna make some tough choices here, and maybe feel like kind of a piece of shit, but that's fine. Like I sold one of my daughters off basically for marriage in this one thing because I was like, I need your men. You have 1,000 men. I need that. Sorry, like I know that my daughter doesn't want this, but also this is kind of the age we're living in, and I don't know what else to do. I don't want all of us to die here, and that's what's going to happen. So it's interesting. I don't know how many different endings there are. I felt like mine was okay. That being said, there are specific plot points that I think happen no matter what you do, and then you as a player like have to react to them in different ways, which I won't say because that would be major spoilers, but I found it a really fascinating little game to play, and yeah, it does get a little stressful, but once you kind of just go, you know what, YOLO, like let's
isn't
be
real
a
life,
king
it's
here,
fine.
and it's not real life. Let's make some choices and see how it goes.
Yeah, No More Robots is the developer. The founder, Mike Rose, he said that they made over $600,000 in revenue during its launch weekend. And now they're on track to sell 250,000 units on Steam during its first year. So it's doing incredibly well.
Yeah, it's interesting that this game reminds me so much of like old school adventure games in style because it's very much this like 8-bit / 16-bit like kind of hybrid art style. And so when you look at the key art looks nothing like the actual gameplay looks. I'm actually kind of confused why their marketing team allowed them to go forward with this key art when like you get to the character models in the gameplay and it looks nothing the same. I think it kind of has like a little bit of a sword and sorcery vibe for art style, but like, you know, it's more high res.
What's funny is they credit their key art for having great sales as part of it.
Really?
Yeah, I read an interview with him. I mean, he was maybe it was more on Twitter. He might have done a thread, but he was very public and transparent about what they did that they believe led to the success that they've had. And one of those things was the key art.
So,
yeah. I mean, it does look like an old school adventure game, which is part of why I was drawn to it when I saw the art in my inbox. And see, I do check my email sometimes for what's good.
Girl.
And it doesn't play out really much like that. I mean, you do kind of walk around in a similar manner. It's, you know, it's a 2D screen. You just go from left to right and you're going through and you're mostly talking to people. And then at the end of every turn or every day is when you make the management decisions, really like, okay, am I going to take this person off payroll so that I have enough gold in order to do this thing, but then I won't have them for the next turn. So if somebody needs something, I either have to give them gold or supplies or tell them to fuck off. Because I don't have the agent resources. So it is a lot of like, okay, management systems, which is very true to what the game is.
How does the saving work? Can you save it? Like,
so it saves every day. So basically when you go to end your turn, you've made your decisions, you've done everything, you've talked to everybody, you would hit save and continue or save and quit. And then from that point on, or you can just, so what you can kind of do is what I was doing at the very beginning. When I felt like I fucked up in one turn, I just exited the game and then booted it back up and it would pick up from the next day. And so you have to replay most of what you've already, that day's decisions. But as someone like me and you, sometimes, Brittany, we get that way and we're like, no, what is the optimal thing to do?
Everyone must love me.
Yeah, I gave that up like an hour in because I kept doing that. And I was like, I can't. This is going to take me 4 times as long to play this game if I keep doing this. Yeah. So I did eventually was just like, okay, this is kind of who the king is going to be, and these are the choices he will make in line with that.
Yeah.
But
cool.
Yeah, it was neat.
About how long do you think your whole playthrough took you?
I don't actually know. I Googled it online and it was like around 8 hours. I feel like it was a little less than that for me, but I also could be wrong because I played it I played it for a few days, like after work at night, and then I played a longer chunk of time. So I honestly wasn't really paying attention to how long it took me. But
okay,
yeah,
that seems very reasonable.
Yeah, it is.
Cool. Awesome. So the other things that we've been playing before we get to Brittany going on again about how much she's in love with the Yakuza. Last week on the show, Rihanna was talking about Call of Duty's brand new free-to-play mode called Warzone. And within that, they have an additional mode called Plunder. And so she was talking such a big talk about this game that I was like, you know what? I really enjoy Call of Duty gameplay. Haven't really been successful in traditional PvP in Call of Duty. Why don't I try Plunder out? And so we played a little bit over the weekend, and I loved it. And I didn't anticipate liking it as much as I did, but I think it's because I've always been a little turned off by the Battle Royale gameplay mechanic of playing as a solo person, and then you just go around and try to shoot as many people as possible, and then there's like a lot of camping if you play like I do, where you like just try to hide from everybody until you're forced to move when the circle moves. And I was just like, you know, this is not how I want to spend the time that I have to play video games. But when she said that it's, you know, we play in a squad and it's objective based and we're trying to just pick up as much money as possible and take out other teams with money, I was like, okay, I'm into it. And I've really, really loved it. I mean, no surprise that, you know, Activision, the Call of Duty franchise, is nailing this Battle Royale mode. And it's just, the guns feel good and the map is great and it feels big enough but not overwhelmingly large, and there's cool vehicles that you can drive around, and you could fly a helicopter, which is super fun.
It was really fun watching you guys play it Monday.
Oh, thanks. I'm glad that you popped in. Yeah, it's, if you guys want to check it out, the archive is up.
Baby girl.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, me forcing you to pop in. I mean, but
don't force me.
I
am
love
spending time with you.
I am gonna force you to play with me and Rihanna, though.
No, I want to. I was gonna play with them, but I was having some weird crash issues on my PC, and I didn't have my consoles up here, and it was the whole thing. But it definitely looked more fun than the typical battle royale because, like you said, you're just trying to get money. And if I can just run around and collect money and try to stay out of the crosshairs of the opposing team, I'm good.
That's what I do every day of my life. Just run around, collect money, and not get shot.
It's too real. It's too real, everybody. But yeah, it's super fun and it's free to play. And I spent money. I spent my own money buying a battle pass. I bought the battle pass bundle for science, mostly for customization options. But I decided to just do it because I was like, you know, Activision was kind enough to provide me with a code for Call of Duty Modern Warfare last fall when it came out. And that game was phenomenal. And I was like, you know what? I really like this game and I'm having a lot of fun. Why don't I just buy the battle pass? And now I think it's going to like force me to play more because I've got skin in the game, and so I'm gonna level up my guns. And like any shooter that has a leveling mechanic that's free to play, in order to get the best weapons, you gotta grind. And I like that the money that you put into the game does give you XP boost, but you only get XP boost if you actually get XP by accomplishing tasks in the game. They don't hand you anything for free, and the cosmetic items are really cool. And they're not giving you access to like specialty scopes and things like that. The things that really enhance your gameplay, you still have to earn by just putting the man hours in. And so I feel like I have accomplished a lot in the like, I think probably like 6 to 7 hours that I've played, which is not that much if you think about it. That I've gotten to unlock several scopes for, you know, the SMG that I've been playing with. And everything about it feels really well thought out and really well done. And I think they announced it at a perfect time. And I don't know, you know, what their original launch plans were, if they were always planning to launch it right now, but it just works out that a lot of people are at home right now playing video games, and it's free. So you can try it out for free if you guys are interested in checking out Warzone. Now, I haven't played the regular Battle Royale mode specifically, but Gary Whitta, if you guys know that guy, has been bugging me to play some Warzone with him. And so there's crossplay, by the way. So that's why Gary and I are going to be able to play together, because he's playing on PC. So if you're on Xbox One, PC, or PS4, you can play crossplay with your friends through your Activision account.
And if you don't have friends, they just announced solos.
Oh, yes,
so
they did.
Go at her.
That was a brand new thing they announced.
Yourself.
Boom. There you go. It's
super
free.
isolation mode.
Super isolation mode.
It's for when you just want to keep all the money for yourself. You don't want to share that money with anybody.
Scrooge McDuck.
Exactly. Get stacks and stacks and stacks of money. It's great. But Britt, you have been on Duolingo for quite some time now. I remember when you first told us about your Japanese learning expedition, and how's it going? I've actually heard from some other people that they have like leaderboards and they have achievements and things like that. So how's your time in Duolingo going?
It is going good. So I've been doing Duolingo now for about a year. It'll be a year in May, and I'm learning Japanese. And I think this also plays in part why I love Yakuza so much, because there's no English audio. It's all in Japanese with subtitles. And so, like, it's fun to run around the city of Kamurocho and, like, look at all the signs, and they're all in Japanese, like hiragana, katakana, and kanji. And it's fun, like, looking at it, like, oh, I know what that means. That's a ramen shop. Woo! But no, Duolingo's great. I would just want to talk about it. If anyone has ever been interested in learning a language, there are a lot of different programs out there, but I have found Duolingo to be great. It is free. You can pay a subscription of $9.99 a month, and it gets you some extra perks. Like, you can download your lessons, so you can do them offline, which is something I did a lot when I was flying to California to be with the ladies. But now that's kind of a thing that's not happening. RIP. But you also get like unlimited screw ups, whereas like if you don't have the paid subscription after a certain amount of lessons, you're like, okay, take a break and come back later. But no, I think learning a language is really good for a multitude of reasons. I think it trains your brain to just think differently outside the box, and it's a good way to expand your horizons. So they have several different languages. I'm also kind of dabbling back into Spanish because I took 4 years in high school, and yeah, I'm realizing that it's been 10 years, forgot a lot of it, but it does come back to you, and they're very good at easing you into it. So I justify it as a game of memorization. So that is what I'm currently playing.
That's cool. I've been wanting to download Duolingo. I think I have it on my phone, but I've actually never started and gone through the registration process because I also have been wanting to brush up on my Spanish as well. So having moved back to the Los Angeles area after being gone for a few years, I already knew that I needed to be more conversational in Spanish when I lived here before. But now I'm like, yo, I feel like almost everybody is speaking Spanish in a way that I'm like, yo, I got to brush up. My biggest problem was, my biggest mistake was that I decided in college that I was going to transition to French instead of Spanish, because I like you also took Spanish in high school.
I did the same thing, Andrea.
Really?
We're both stupid.
I know. And I'm like, listen, like it was nice for the couple of years that I had talked to my really good friend Dominique, who's Belgian and speaks French. But like now I'm like, yo, I live in California. I need to know how to speak Spanish. Like I just do. And so now I'm like, okay, I got to get back to it. But now I'm like mixing French and Spanish together because they're from the same Romance language tree, and so the grammar structure is identical. And I'm like, I'm screwed now.
Oh, dude.
So I did Spanish in high school, a little French in college, and then the last semester of college when I studied abroad, they didn't have a French class that I could slot into, and I needed an elective, and it was a business school. So the only other thing that was like general was a language. It's Italian. So now I have Italian, French, and Spanish
You're screwed.
rolling all up in my brain. I have no idea what's going on.
It's so, the weirdest thing is learning Japanese has brought out so much of the Spanish that I learned 10 years ago, because like you want to just jump to conclusions. And like Andrew is saying, the grammar in this case is obviously very different, but it's insane how your brain it wants to blend all of them together into one big mush pot. And then you're like, so that's why I've only been dabbling in Spanish, because I can't do both at the same time, because trying to learn the sentence structure and grammar of one language and then trying to do the other one, it just gets all sorts of complicated.
Well, and Japanese is one of the hardest languages to learn because like reading the characters is a whole nother skill set versus speaking the language, and the intonation of Japanese is so different than English, particularly American English. So I applaud you, Britt, and thank you for inspiring me. Now that, we're all home, maybe you try learning something.
Is you can be friends on Duolingo, and you then can see how much experience points you've earned as opposed to your friends. so we can compete. I know you like competition.
I do like competition.
Why are you activating competition mode, Andrea?
I know how to light a fire under her ass, and that's the way to do it.
It's true.
So true.
It's true. Okay. Now okay, I'm in. I'm ready. I'll reinstall it. I'm ready to go. Cool. Well, that's awesome. I'm glad that you're having fun. I guess that makes sense that you're enjoying running around the fictional world of Yakuza, reading all the Japanese characters. Cyber, do you want to talk about Ori?
Yeah. I'm assuming you guys covered a lot of it last week, so I won't, maybe harp on it too much, but I have been playing it for a little bit and I'm really enjoying it. It's just as charming as the original. I do have a gripe, and that is they need to fix it so that you can drop the difficulty down if you feel like it, because I'm like 5-6 hours in. I'm not going back, but if there's a point where I feel like I'm going to get stuck, I'm going to be displeased that I feel like I will have to put the game down entirely instead of just adjusting the difficulty.
Right.
But whatever, that aside, the thing that I've run into where I now put the game down is a weird hiccup where I'm going into like this really dark, spooky swamp section of the game, and you're supposed to fling yourself off of these bubbles that are bursting in the swamp. And it works only like a quarter of the time for me. And the other times, it instead flings me backwards. And it does a weird thing where I glitch. And so I glitch, and Ori shoots up here, like to the top of the screen, and then does the drowning animation as if I have it. And I'm like, what the?
Oh, what? No. That definitely sounds like a bug.
Here? So it's not a matter of get good. It's a matter of there's an issue going on.
Because I think I know are you in the...
It happens...
It sounds like you're in the Moldwood depths, right? Like where the darkness is?
I'm in like the dark, spooky swamp trying to get to the owl, the baby owl, my friend Koo.
Oh, you're in the Silent Woods.
Silent Woods, yeah, I'm in the Silent Woods.
Okay.
And yeah, there's like the weird Bog of Eternal Stench bubbles. And for the most part, when I was like, okay, this is how it works, and you fling yourself off, and it was working. And then all of a sudden it stopped working the same way, and instead just like flings me to my death somehow. And I don't understand it. And I'm like, what do? I don't know. This is a beautiful game. I want to keep playing, and I feel like I'm stuck. I'm hoping that I just leave it alone for a while, and then I go back, and then it's fixed somehow.
Have you tried hard resetting the game? Like hard resetting your console? Because sometimes that fixes bugs in the game, from what I've seen, particularly on Xbox.
I'll try that. Yeah, because Ori and the Blind Forest is one of my favorite games, so I would like to finish Will of the Wisps, but we shall see if I can get out of this damn swamp.
Yeah, that was my big gripe last week. My only gripe, actually, because this game is phenomenal in pretty much every other way. It's that I was about 3 to 4 hours in, and I stopped and started over on easy. And it's still been a challenge because the jumping puzzles and the traversal puzzles don't get easier if you're on easy. They're still just as difficult. It's just the combat is easier, and because of that, it makes it not as brutal to try to progress through the world. And I'm so glad I did, because it's still challenging, and I still have to do a lot of sections over and over and over again to get through them. But I cannot imagine doing it with like half the health, or like crazy fewer hit points, or not getting my upgrades as fast. Because I'm really glad that I did it. Not that I'm encouraging you to start over, but
I'm not going to. And again, I wouldn't even be having an issue, except this has to be a bug. Like, yeah, because it works again. Like I said, a quarter of the time, and then the other 3/4 of the time, it just kills me. And so I'm like, this kid is not consistently doing a thing, so I don't understand what the mechanic is supposed to be. I'm pretty sure I understand what the mechanic is supposed to be, but I don't know. It's a weird thing, but yeah, for the most part, I haven't found the combat can be difficult, but it usually is just a matter of pausing and paying attention to like the pattern of whatever it's doing and just trying to avoid it, which I don't always have the most patience for, but once I did, it was okay. Now I'm at the point where I have like a fuck ton of health because I bought and upgraded like one of the shards. So now I have 2 extra health bubbles, an extra mana bubble. So like my my bubble meter's doing pretty okay. That's not really the issue. It's just a matter of making it through, man. But
hopefully they'll put out a patch, or maybe if you hard reset.
Or if I hard reset, I'll try the hard reset and see if that fixes it. But it's such pretty game. But it is also, again, one of those games that's really deceiving. So when you look at it, if you were somebody who does not know Ori at all, the series, you'd be like, what a beautiful, charming little platformer. Bet this is gonna be a real nice, relaxing time. Nope. This will absolutely knock you on your ass. Like Andrea mentioned, not only is the traversal a challenge, the combat can be a challenge. This is a challenging game, but do not let the art style fool you. And that's not a bad thing, but it's just don't go into it thinking that you're gonna it's all sunshine and rainbows. It's definitely not.
Well, and the way that the traversal puzzles ramp up once you get into the latter half of the game, I'm about like 75% of the way. Like I'm getting close to the end. I mean, as far as like the progression of the story, there's still plenty of collectibles that I haven't picked up yet. But there's just like, you have to really get creative. And I had to look up a couple of walkthroughs because I was just kind of banging my head against the wall being like, how do I do this? And there was just a couple of that I just wasn't executing. They're like, no, you're doing the right thing. You just aren't executing. And that's why I really encourage people who, are interested in Ori and the Will of the Wisps to not, beat yourself up if you want to play it on easy. There's, again, baby mode is a way of life for us here at What's Good Games. There's no shame in it. And like, I really want as many people as possible to experience this story. And because they have pretty restrictive accessibility options compared to other games in the genre right now, I really just encourage you to just start on easy. And then if you think that it was great and you loved it, go back and play it on hard and challenge yourself. But it's just so beautiful, like you said. The art, the music, the story, all of it's great. And the level design is so innovative in a way that I haven't seen in a really long time. And it's just so well done. And this is the game, Britt, when you talk about being stressed out by the world and you want to put something on, I think that I can put it on and I can get lost in it because I'm playing it on easy. And while I have definitely had moments of I've had to set the controller down and walk away because this traversal puzzle just had me either stumped or I just kept messing it up. It's like I wasn't getting like the triple jump with the boost done in the right order. And I knew it was my own fault with like fat thumbs or whatever. I was just like, okay, you take a break.
Step away.
But
what's back later.
Yeah, but what's great about it is that like I still love going back to it because it's so immersive and so beautiful and so well done. And like hats off to Moon and to Microsoft Game Studios for making such a fantastic piece of video games. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably going to do it for us for this week for Hands-On. We had a great time chatting with you about what we've been playing. Of course, I've also been playing The Division 2. There's more Destiny 2 happening for me. I know that Britt's playing more Yakuza, and, Steimer has been watching tons of LCS, as she has mentioned on the show before, and we will talk more about some of that stuff
Oh, no, I
next
meant I
week.
was actually playing it, but yes.
Oh, wait. Can you Sherpa me through some games? I think I'm ready to go back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can try playing.
Cool. But I know that next week you guys are probably both going to be talking about Animal Crossing, let's be honest.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, that's it. My Yakuza days are coming to an end because we got RE3 coming up, which I anticipate the review code hopefully coming late next week if I'm lucky. And Final Fantasy 7's coming up and Animal Crossing. So I'm getting all my Yakuza in while I can. I mean, oh no, woe is me. I have to play Final Fantasy 7, Resident Evil 3, and Animal Crossing. Oh no.
Oh, it's such a tough life you have, Brittany.
Oh, it's rough, I'm telling you. So excited for these next few weeks. Oh.
All right, when we come back, we're going to be talking about our Patreon voted segments. Stick with us. We'll see you in a minute. What's What's good, everybody, and welcome back. It's the final segment of the What's Good Games podcast. And this week, our feature segment is all about our Patreon produced and polled and voted. That's right. We have a topic that is going to be a really fun discussion. And we're going to get to that in just a second, because I want to tell you it's brought to you by MeUndies. We love MeUndies here at What's Good Games. I've been tweeting about them. We've talked about them for over a year now. And I'm incredibly thrilled to say that they are doing something incredibly special for International Women's Month. So if you guys didn't remember, it's Women's History Month. And MeUndies wants to take a moment and just shout out all the women that inspire them every day. And yes, that means you, listener out there, fan of What's Good Games, this Women's Month, which should be every month, honestly, it's their mission to motivate all the women around them to embrace and show up as their full, unfiltered self. MeUndies believes self-expression is so powerful, and they want to encourage all women to live that every day. MeUndies thinks that you're heroic just as you are. So what I really love about what they're doing for Women's Month is not only has MeUndies been a fantastic leader in showcasing all different kinds of models in their ads and reminding us that human bodies are varied and different and come in all shapes, sizes, and colors and ages. But for Women's Month, what they did is that they had this fantastic mashup with Wonder Woman, which of course is a great brand from DC all on its own. So if you guys haven't seen the Wonder Woman cross Women's History Month collection that they're doing, they've got bralettes, they've got panties, they've got all different kinds of underwear and socks, and you can check that out at meundies.com/WGG. And what I think, I don't even know if I need to keep telling you guys how great MeUndies are. I was wearing my MeUndies onesie yesterday.
I was wearing my Star Wars pajama bottoms yesterday.
Right?
They're so comfy.
Stay cozy.
Very nice.
They're super cozy because they're the softest things to ever grace your booty. That's because they're made with micromodal, a magical, sustainable, soft as heck fabric made from trees. Yes, trees, you guys. And that makes your bits feel like they're floating on a cloud. And of course, as we mentioned, we've got a special offer for What's Good Games listeners. For first-time purchasers, you're going to get 15% off plus free shipping. And this is a no-brainer, especially because they have a 100% satisfaction guarantee. So if you guys aren't happy for whatever reason, then you could just send it back and get something different. I will give you a little insider pro tip. I size up in everything from MeUndies, with the exception of the onesies, because they're just a little baggy as design, onesies. But whenever I get the underwear and the bralettes, I size up. When I order John the boxers for men, we size up as well, because they're a little bit snug because of the micromodal fabric. It's super soft, but it also is just like a little, it clings to you a little bit. So if you want something that's a little looser fit, just recommend sizing up a little bit. And you can do so with 15% off your free order. Your first order, with free shipping and a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Again, that website, meundies.com/WGG, meundies.com/WGG. And just as a reminder, we know that there's lots of offers on the internet out there. If you go and use our link, it helps support everything we are doing as a woman-owned business for Women's History Month here at What's Good Games. So thanks to MeUndies for being a great partner and for always making an effort to make people feel more included. And their collection for Women's History Month is no exception.
You nailed that read, baby girl.
Ah, thanks, Britt. And speaking of nailing reads, that's a weird transition. Not at all.
Not all segues work.
Exactly. One of the things that we like to do when we are featuring our Patreon produced segment is shout out our fantastic Mythic members and above. We've been doing this patron shout out since What's Good Games launched back in May of 2017. And if you guys are keeping track of the calendar, our next anniversary is coming up soon. We're going to be announcing what we're going to be doing for our anniversary soon. #soon. But until we get to there, we want to say thank you so much to all of our fantastic supporters at patreon.com/whatsgoodgames. And now we're going to read a bunch of names. Are we going to mispronounce most of them? Probably. But you guys live for that, don't you?
What order do we want to go in here, ladies?
You're going to start. I've decided. Cyber's
right,
going second, and then I'll go third.
Chewy's Godson.
Adriana Rock Williams.
Al Tribesman.
Alberto Andreas Videla.
Alex Rigopulos.
Alexander David.
Alex Kohler.
Andrew Cotton.
Ariella Furman.
Bing Zoom Pow.
Bill Stillwell.
That was me.
Oh.
That's my fault. Brendan Clark.
Brian Harper.
Ryan R. Johnson.
Carl Peterson.
Chip Bigelow.
Chris Wilson.
Krister Landmark.
Christopher Peters.
Chai Jackson Burgess.
Daniel Hull.
Derpy. Derpy.
Devon Nitz.
Donato Sinichio III.
E. Benjamin Checkness.
Elizabeth Brooke.
Elmo Shell.
Emily Kent.
Eric C.
Ermagerd Arenda.
Faris Attieh.
Gary Peck.
Gio Corsi.
Gregory Holton.
Ivan Bejarano.
Jacob Ernese.
Jake Sue.
Jared Coomer.
Jared Howard.
Jasmine Lee Sainza.
Jason Demers.
That guy. Jessica Bloom.
Joe Kennison.
Joe Schlief.
Joe Wilson.
John Drake.
Giselle
That guy.
Bassa.
Justin Foshi.
Justin Fuss.
Justin Salimo.
We have a lot of Justins.
Hmm.
Kenneth Stimmel.
Kevin Komaki.
Kia B.
Kyle Kaiser.
Lucas Shaney.
Marco Ontiveros.
Marcus Brown.
Mark Drastrup.
Martha Emery.
Matthew Goder.
Matthew Simpson.
Melanthius Owens.
Michael S.
Michaela Sange.
Mohammed Mohammed.
Malay Bittner.
Nam Bui.
Nathan Watkins.
Nathaniel Schoen. Schoen?
Nicole.
Schoen.
Nicole Humphrey.
Noel Navarez.
Ozzy Mejia.
Paige Polta.
Patrick Higgins.
Patrick Landry.
Patrick Wella.
Pete Shoemaker.
Philip Dreher.
Punkdefied.
Cheryl Octopus.
RJ Bryan.
Regan Impson.
Rob Leonard.
Robert Adams.
Limbala.
Sean I.
Sean Stevenson.
Stephanie Fitzwilliam.
Tara Bruno.
My mama, Teresa Enert.
Throw 7.
Timothy Bennett.
Tony Shea.
Trent Barry.
Trent Pennington.
Trevor Starkey.
Trevely Travis.
Tyler McCall.
Tyler Phillips.
Will Cullum.
Will Hernandez.
Yasun Kajenomai.
And Zach Hershey Kiss.
Thank you so much to
Beautiful.
all of our Mythic patrons and above. If you would like us to shout out your name awkwardly on the podcast every month, you can go to patreon.com/whatsgoodgames.
Lucky you.
Take it away, Britt.
All right. So this segment comes from, like Andrew was saying earlier, patreon.com/whatsgoodgames, where our patrons can submit and vote on topics they want us to talk about every month. And this month, Marcus Brown got the winner. And the topic is, have there ever been any games that you've played that made you question how you play games in general?
This is a question that can be taken in a multitude of ways.
Yes.
I think the first thing for me that came to mind was mostly how my gaming habits have changed as I have gotten older, and how playing games then versus now is much different. So for instance, when I hopped back into Guild Wars 2 recently, or honestly any of the MMOs I tried to go back to, it just made me realize, not necessarily question, but it made me realize how different my playstyle is now. And even if a really great MMO came out tomorrow, I just don't think I had the same time or dedication that I once did to video games in general in order to really invest in that and in that style, when it was something that I did a lot of before. Obviously, I have a lot of hours to prove it.
Yeah, because you were big into your MMOs, and I applaud you for hopping back in recently to at least try them again.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to give them a try, but it did make me question how I used to be when I was younger a little bit. It's just like, wow, this is all really different. And even honestly, Ori has been an interesting thing, because my life was so different when the Blind Forest came out, and my living situation was different and everything was different. And so it's kind of interesting to play that game now in a completely new setting, place in my life, time in my life. It's just it's kind of interesting.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I'm with you in the sense that I think it's changed as I've gotten older, but I was, just in the last segment talking about playing Call of Duty Warzone's Plunder mode, and I had a moment when I was playing on stream the other day with Endorphins and Lucigen, when I saw a strat from another team, a strategy that they were using in this Battle Royale mode, right? And I was like, I never contemplated that. And I had this existential moment where I was like, have I been playing first-person shooters wrong my entire life?
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
And it reminds you just how different it is coming in as a casual player, going, I'm just here to shoot a gun and have some fun. And if I get some money, we play, it's cool. If we don't, whatever. But I was like, no, actually, there's a lot of pretty easy strategies you can implement to actually use the tools that the developers have built into the game for your success. But you have to actually try to use them.
Yes, you do.
And I just had this moment where I was like, there's so many of these perks and abilities and things like that I never fully researched or looked at. And I think one of the things that really kind of stuck with me was looking at the perks of the guns and going, I never really knew what handling meant as a stat on weapons. Because if you play shooters, all guns have a variety of stats, and they have handling, reload, stability, et cetera, et cetera. But most of the time, if you're a casual player, you don't really dig into the stats and what the finite differences of. It's not frame rate counting with the FGC, right? It's like that intense, but it still makes a difference knowing what all those different stats are. And I was like, I really never stopped to think about how those stats are going to affect my gameplay and in the way that I engage with other people in a combat heavy game. And I think, it really led me to think of Destiny as being the only shooter that I've ever played where I felt like I was very comfortable with knowing what all of those stats meant and being able to know what a bullet spray pattern is going to look like from a gun because of the stats that it had. And that's because of the sheer amount of hours that I put into that game. But it was a kind of this realization for me as a gamer to be like, have I just been overlooking this incredible game design in all of these games I've been playing my whole life? Am I really the fake gamer girl everyone says that I am?
No.
Fake gamer girl. Don't out us, Andrea. Come on.
Oh my God.
That's actually interesting, Andrea, because that does make me think of League. And again, disclosure, I work for Riot, but even when I first started playing, I obviously did not. And me being baby noob League player had zero idea about a lot of things that are just really core functions of the game.
Yeah.
Like wards, like the Rift Herald, these are things that if you are just starting in League, you shouldn't focus on them immediately. You should focus on just getting the mechanics of a champion down and learning how to do that. But it's funny you should say it, because yes, I was when I started watching LCS and pro play is when I started to learn about shit I should have known. And I just kind of was like, oh no. I'm so bad at this. Holy shit. I knew I was bad, but I didn't have a benchmark for how bad I was until I started watching them. And I was like, oh.
Well,
shit.
I mean, don't beat yourself up too much. You can't compare yourself to teams that are playing in the LCS. I mean, that's the highest level
just,
play.
General knowledge.
They make it look so easy. Of
Yes.
course I think of those things. I guess for me, the first game that comes to mind is Super Mario RPG, which I played when I was 7, and that was my very first turn-based RPG game I'd ever played. And I remember never quite understanding it. I didn't know what the fuck it meant to grind for experience points and level up and increase your strength and HP and any of that. And so I'll never forget, I could not get past the first boss. And I called my aunt, because my grandma and my aunt play games, and they helped guide me as a wee lass. And she explained to me the concept of grinding for XP and getting stronger and taking on the boss. And ever since then, I've been hooked on RPGs. I've said before, that's my bread and butter. I love turn-based RPGs and JRPGs. They just usually are very big time sinks, and it's very hard to spend time doing that, says the girl who's been playing Yakuza for 3 games straight now. Whoops. Whoops. I think between all those games, I probably put in 110 hours since I've been home from PAX because I've been sick and sitting on my ass. Anyway, priorities. So I would just say, first of all, Super Mario RPG, because that's when I discovered RPGs and how I just love that formula so much. And then the other major game, I'd say, would have to be Dragon Age Origins, because that was the first game I'd ever played where your choices have major consequences. I remember Twitter had just came out, and I think that game came out in what, like 2010, 2011, 2009, right around there?
Origins 2009, I think, is right.
Okay. And someone had tweeted that they had said something to a character in their party, and it turned out it was, I don't know who it was actually, and that party member just left. They left the party. And I was like, what? Like, how can that happen? How can you piss someone off in your game so much that they leave your party and they're forever gone? And I didn't understand, how choice and consequence could be such a big thing. Now, obviously with BioWare, that's kind of like what they do. But I think knowing that your choices have consequences, and the way they made all those characters feel so alive, for back in those days, the fact that you could complete a quest, then go back to camp and talk to them, and they'd have something new to say. It felt like they were some of the first party members that actually were like real people. They had different opinions, and they had different viewpoints on a lot of different things. And sometimes you could flirt with them. Hello, Alistair. And I would say ever since that game, whenever I play an RPG or play a game with multiple characters, I'm always looking to go back to them and talk to them and see if they have anything new to say about the story, depending on what's happened. And if they have nothing important to say, it's a real big pet peeve of mine now. So like if, we defeat a huge boss and I'm like, yeah, guys, tell me how good I did. Tell me about what you think about that. And they have nothing to say, and they're just repeating the same thing they said from like 3 hours ago. It's a major of mine. And that's because I played Origins and it left a lasting impression.
Why don't you have anything to say?
Why don't you have anything to say to me? Do you know what I just did? I just did a really cool thing, and all you can do is tell me about the weather. I don't know.
Yeah.
But does that question how you play games in general?
I would say so. Well, I mean, again, you can interpret this in a lot of ways, right? Now, how I play games, if I have multiple characters in my game, I'm always trying to interact with them to see if they have something new to say about it. So it's not like a huge thing, but it's very like on paper, not a big deal, but in my mind, it's a very important mechanic to me.
Oh no, it's for me as well.
Yeah.
And when you were talking about what I your first RPG, I actually went and thought about it too, and I was like, wait a minute. I obviously love RPGs now, but thinking about when I played as a kid, I didn't play any RPGs. I played platformers, I played adventure games, I played strategy games, and I played pets because I'm a baller.
Oh, dude, pets, I played pets too. Yeah, breeding those things. Oh, so
but
good.
I think my first actual RPG was Mass Effect.
Oh,
wow. And I still have the distinct memory of, and I don't know why, I think I was like, RPG, yeah, I like that. But I don't, actually thinking back, I'm like, I don't know that I had a basis for that at all. I think I just liked space. I
mean, that works. And look what happened.
Yeah, and so that was definitely a game where it made me question and then love all RPGs, because I never had played that way before. But it was everything I had ever really wanted and didn't know that I had wanted.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's good and it's bad, because I feel like since Origins left such a big impact on me, I keep kind of expecting to get that same amount of feedback and that same feeling from characters in games where they're gonna, act and talk and react to the world around them. And if they don't, it's just a thing. It's a thing with me. It's error. I just get mad.
I guess the good news for you though, Britt, is that how RPGs have evolved since Origins is quite dramatic in that they're so more robust now because the technology allows developers to build more into games than they ever could have previously without like a gargantuan budget. And so I think it's interesting kind of looking at the evolution of like kind of where that stemmed from for you to like where it is now, because at least now I think most developers are conscious of that and try to make sure that they do narrative development around those characters, knowing that people are going to look out for those things. Whereas before it was forgivable. Right? There's so many things, and maybe that's even like a whole other topic, like things that we forgave in games like even a decade ago that we don't forgive in games now.
Right? Because your perspective has changed. Even playing Yakuza, when I'm talking to someone, if they have nothing to say, I'm like, you bastard. It kind of tears down that wall for me. I know. It's not good.
No, it does. It breaks immersion a little bit, right? Especially, I mean, mostly after a major plot point or something has happened where you feel like they would naturally say something if they were a real human being. that's when you're like, oh, right, this is just a video game. And that kind of sucks to have those moments because you do, especially in times like these, want to lose yourself a little bit more in them and feel at home in some way. Just like, I'll just pretend to be over there for a while. It's cool.
Be my virtual friend.
Yes. Why are my virtual friends so shitty?
Why don't you talk to me? Why don't you engage in conversation?
Why don't you listen about my problem?
I know. Because that's what my dog's for, and my husband.
I mean, I wasn't going to touch that one. I was just gonna let it go.
It's okay.
It was
Don't ever let anything go.
No, it was interesting. Just as like one other thing that I noticed about some of my gameplay is, kind of thinking back to games that you used to think that you were really confident in or really good at, and then now you try similar games and you're like, wait, I used to be like really good at that. Like I was thinking about how at PAX East, I went by the Three Fields Entertainment booth and played Dangerous Driving 2, which I, talked about on our panel, the team from Criterion that made Dangerous Driving, kind of the Burnout-esque game, arcade racer. And I used to play so many arcade racing games that I was really, really good. And I'm still pretty good with some practice, but like nothing like I used to be. But I think it reminds you that like there's a time and a place for certain types of games in your life. And so when you think about this question that Marcus had about have there ever been any games that you've played that have made you question how you play games in general, I think sometimes I question the types of games I play in general more so than specific mechanics in games. Like my skill in a game is different to me than the kind of game that interests me and keeps me engaged. Because let's be honest, I'm like shit in a lot of games that are really interesting to me because I want to play regardless of if I'm good at them or not. But it's way more fun when you're good at it.
Yes. Usually.
Yeah. I've never played the Souls games, but I would say it's questioned the way I play games in general, since I just say fucking, if anything's like a Souls type, I'm like, nope, no, not for me. I don't want to get angry today. So I guess
the Souls games are an interesting toe dipping for me because I did try all of them for like a couple of hours, and just it didn't make me question me as much as everybody else, and just wondering, or I guess it is a little bit me of just wondering like why I'm so wired clearly so differently than all these other people, because they see this as a really big challenge that then when they overcome it they feel very accomplished, whereas I just don't enjoy feeling like I'm beating my head against a wall. Even if at the end of the day I get through it, to me, the time required to get there is more of a time lost for me than it is any sort of time gained.
Exactly.
And I get their mindset of like, I'm learning or I'm doing this, but just personally, I'm not motivated that way. And I feel like I would rather read a book, or I would rather go outside, or I would rather talk, like I would rather do other things with my time than that. And if I'm gonna learn something, maybe I should download Duolingo instead and just fucking do that. So to me, it just made me those games definitely gave me a bit of an existential crisis of like, am I the crazy one? Like, it seems like so many people really like this shit, and I don't like it at all. And I don't know, I don't get it.
Yeah, that and roguelikes for me. I've learned that I do not enjoy a roguelike. I just detest the feeling of losing all that progress and having to start from scratch, because I feel like that's time lost. Like you're saying, though, some people love that feeling. To them, it's an accomplishment. To them, it's a challenge they can't wait to overcome. And to me, I feel like I accomplished nothing.
I think it's like the skill-based part of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's that, and I think when you're young, you don't mind the time wasted as much. Shouldn't say time wasted, but like,
I mean, it is wasted. I really
do. There it is. But there's lots of ways to waste your time.
Truth.
So there's that whole concept of like time feels very long when you're young and very short as you get older. I feel that a lot right now. I feel like back in the day, I didn't mind running through levels or like doing things that were really difficult, spending all of my time in a game. I didn't mind. I felt like I had all the time in the world. Now I don't, right? I feel much more like there are other things to manage with my time, and that is when I lose patience with a game like that. And that is when I do tend to, now I'm giving myself permission to play things on baby mode, because if I want to experience it, but I just don't have that time and / mental fortitude to want to play it in that way, I shouldn't be punishing myself for that when I'm just at a different stage in my life.
Yeah.
Amen.
Ooh, that was a good conversation, ladies.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
It was. Thanks, Marcus, for writing in. If you guys want to submit ideas for us to chat about in our Patreon produced segment, if you're like, you know what, I would really love to hear what the girls have to say about this topic, we request you guys' topics once a month for our Patreon produced segment at patreon.com/whatsgoodgames. It helps support everything we do here at WGG. We would love to hear from you. So thanks again, Marcus. And this was really fun. It was a really nice little chat.
It was.
Yeah.
And on that note, I think we all should go play some video games or maybe take a nap or do some laundry or go clean up whatever mess your child has made because they're there when you're working from home just pestering you every day. But hopefully you are able to take a moment, take a deep breath and go, you know, everything's going to be okay. The world is a little wild right now, but we still have video games and it's something that we can all share and love together. And just a friendly reminder, if the stress of the world is really weighing down on you, because it's weighing down on all of us. Weighed down on me a lot last week, which a lot of you picked up on. Don't forget about Take This. I've been saying this to everybody. TakeThis.org is a great place to go when you're like, my anxiety is high, I feel panicked, I feel scared, I feel angry, and video games are helping, but they're just not enough. Our friends at TakeThis.org are always there because don't forget, it's okay to not be okay. And that's what I'm going to leave you with. Hopefully you'll have a better day tomorrow. And tonight, go play some games, drink some drinks, eat some chocolate.
Eat some food. Oh,
yeah.
That too.
Goodbye, everybody.